Okay. We are back from closed session. City Attorney, do we have any reportable action from the closed session? With that, we will adjourn the Selma City Council special meeting, and we will reconvene in 5 minutes at 6 o'clock for the regular city council meeting. All right, everybody ready? Okay, good evening, everybody. This is the Selma City Council regular meeting. It's September 3rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Selma City Council chambers. at 1710 Tucker Street in Selma, California, 93662. Teleconference phone number is 301-715-8592, and the webinar ID is 891-6864-5005. When on the phone, if you wish to address the council during the public comment portion of the agenda, press star 9 to raise your hand and we will select you from the meeting queue. Press star 6 to unmute and mute yourself. Tonight's invocation is from Pastor Jose Alvarez of the Iglesia Antioquia. Welcome, Pastor.
Thank you, Mayor. Remember, she told me to turn it on. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, we come before you right now just to put this meeting in your hands, Heavenly Father, asking you just to take direction and pour your spirit upon each one of your officials, Heavenly Father, that you have put up there, Heavenly Father. We just ask you for guidance and we just ask you for wisdom. And we ask you, Heavenly Father, for peace, Heavenly Father, that everything go forward, Heavenly Father, glorify you and honor you because, Heavenly Father, it's all about you. In the name of Jesus Christ, we thank you and we love you with all our hearts. And we all say, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Guerra,
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Here.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho.
Here.
Mayor Robertson.
Here. Potential conflicts of interest. Any council member who has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter. Agenda changes or deletions to better accommodate members of the public or inconvenience in the order of presentation. Items on the agenda may not be presented or acted on in the order listed. Additions to the agenda may be added only pursuant to California Government Code, Section 54954.2. Does council have any changes tonight they would like to make to the agenda? I have one due to an issue with one of the participants in the public. I've had a request to make agenda item 3 the first regular business agenda item tonight. Does council have a problem with that, or are we okay moving item 3 to item 1?
I would just add before council makes a decision, we have consultants who have traveled here from Southern California, and which is the reason we placed them first on item 1, but it's council's choice.
Okay. Is council okay with putting item 3
After.
and then it would be item 1 would follow after item 3?
That's fine.
Everybody okay with that? Okay. So we've got consensus. Are you're a no?
Well, I'm just, I feel like number 3 is gonna take a really long time. So I would say number 1 and then number 3 is what my suggestion would be. Is that okay?
Okay.
I just feel like number 3 is gonna be very long.
Okay. I would go with making item 3 number 1. Councilmember Guerra.
That's fine.
And Mendoza, Councilmember Mendoza Navarro would do
1,
item 1,
and then
3,
3.
and 2. Councilmember Trio, Mayor Pro Tem Cho, what's your preference?
1, 3, I'm sorry, yeah, 1, 3, 2 is what I'm proposing.
Okay, so we will change item 3 to item 2, and then item 2 will become the last item we cover on the regular agenda. Okay, moving on to oral communications. At this time, any member of the public may address the city council regarding any item over which the council has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public are asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes and to direct all their comments at the city council. Do we have any oral communications at this time?
Okay, Brian Ceballos, Selma. I honestly was gonna speak today. I really wasn't. I had nothing to say, to be honest with you, but I was walking in right now and I was approached by Lisa Franco, which is Louis Franco's wife. And I was told that she better hope that I don't get harassment claims against me because I was going door to door, whatever that meant. She said it's just a sign, and um, yeah, it's just a sign, so I shouldn't have to worry about it. So what I want to say was, like I said, I wasn't gonna say anything because, like she said, it's just a sign. I don't really care. But Mayor Robertson's signs had been taken, had been stolen. He was the first one to have his signs up, and all of a sudden they disappear. So I don't. If it's just a sign, then why are they disappearing? So if you put two and two together, it's not making any sense. Like I said, I wasn't gonna say anything. I was gonna just brush it off. I didn't care. I came into this meeting with a clean mind. I always do. Just like I came in back in January, and I came in with open mind. I didn't know any of this was going on, how council was beefing with each other. I really didn't. But, you know, if it's coming to choosing sides, then yeah, we're gonna end up choosing sides, choosing sides because I'm just done. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the name calling. I'm tired of the bullying. I'm tired of the harassment. I'm tired of, oh, he said this, she said that. I'm just tired of sides. So you know what? Come November, just vote who you have to vote. Like I said, you guys already know what's going on, how this council works. Like I said, they're all about planning, talking. They're not about action. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hello, Ramirez, Selma, California. I also wasn't going to speak today, but I'm going to piggy off of what Brian said. There was some comments made on social media that we are campaigning and we are helping Mayor Scott Robertson with his campaign. And they're saying that we're putting signs when we're not asking permission to. I will tell you right now that we are not putting any signs unless we get the go from our mayor. So I don't know why they're attacking us and saying this and that. You know, I just want to see a fair race. Let's not act like children. You know, we're all adults. Let's just do a fair race. That's all I'm asking for. I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing. And so that's what I wanted to say on that. Second, I want to talk about the animal shelter. I passed by there several times. There was one time I passed by, there wasn't even dogs in kennels. I don't know if they were inside, but I've been passing by and I've seen a couple of them outside, but not as much as I used to. I know they're getting euthanized. And in my personal opinion, if we're going to be paying $500,000 for the animal shelter for just a few animals, why don't we just close it down? That's a lot of money that we're investing into this. And for us to be euthanizing animals, that doesn't jive with me. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. 1426 Grove Street, Joe Alvarez. I'm right here to, I don't know how to phrase this because it's going on for 3 years already, or if not longer. We have a property on 1943 Boulder Street, Boulder. Uh, um, and it's had bees for the last 3 years. I came in here, I complained about homeless going in there and I told them what was gonna happen. They were gonna burn it down, they burned it down. The house should have got condemned, but for some reason, unknown to logic reasons, it just got boarded up and it's still there. Now we got homeless again coming to the backyard and they're just back there every night, they're just doing their things back there. They're not trying to go inside right now because it's too hot. But come winter, they're gonna go back in there again. We've talked to the city officials. We've gone through all the channels, so I'm right here just pleading with you guys, Mayor. We need help. I had to get my daughter out of there. We had to buy another house here in Selma. And that's because my kids love Selma because, they didn't want to move out of Selma. So she bought a new home here. And, she was forced to move out of there because she's a sheriff and so she works all night. And so, after that, house burning, she says, well, Dad, I'm there. I mean, if a house burns, I've worked 16 hours. I'm not gonna know if, the house is on fire, just like I didn't know the first time. So So she moved out, she got another house. Thank God that we had the resources to do that. But I just want to plead with you guys, and I really want somebody to listen to me. That house should have been condemned, it should have been dropped. That house is not livable, it's not fixable. So whoever made the choice of continuing in the process of allowing that house to stand, I think it was a very bad judgment. And I really, really plead with you guys, help us out, because the people that are renting right now gotten stung by the bees 4 or 5 different times. And I'm just waiting for a lawsuit now. We're just waiting for somebody to come in. And, you know, I'm not into lawsuits. I'm not into suing my city I live in. So I just appreciate you guys, you know, taking matters into your hands, doing something about it. And I really would appreciate to get this problem resolved before another fire or something more, you know, terrible happens. Thank you, guys.
Anybody else with a comment? Do we have anybody online? Oh, we have another person from the public. Come on up.
Michael Barone at 2003 Alton. And this issue I brought up several times. We still have that house still there. I've been patient. File or whatever from somebody, and that's about it, you know. That he told me that they're working on it. And I just want to find out, where are we? And I'd like to ask my representative of my council area, where are we on that house? Wright and Alton. That's a shell. It's been burned. They pulled the fence down on it. It's a bunch of grass all around it, ready for another fire. I'd like to ask John Trujillo, where are we on that? He's my representative of my area. Okay, John, can you ask, you know, can I do that or can't I?
Sure, you want?
Sure.
No.
You can speak to him outside of the meeting, but no, that it has to be, public comment is limited to
Council-
public comment, because it's not on the agenda.
And if it's okay with council, we can provide an update during department updates, if that's okay with the council.
There'll be an update.
Yeah.
There'll be a request for agenda items.
Yes, and to the council, our city attorney had explained and gave a briefing in regards to what had been occurred. Councils, you all aware that the city council members, we receive information and we send it off to our city attorney and our city manager. We also understand that there is a due process, homeowners own property, and there's a due process that we follow. This process has been going on for many, many years. And to the council, you know, we all can appreciate the fact of saying that we know we're the ones that's pushing the issue, but at the end of the day, our city staff, once we submit it to our fire, public works attorney, our attorney did give a complete breakdown of what was going on with this home, how long it was taking, and council members and city and mayor, I would appreciate that you would relay the message to any individual that comes in, because they have done presentations, and for that, I thank you guys.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else?
Jim Avello, 1701 Dinuba. Yeah, I'm up here, you know, I read these agendas. I've been here. I come to the council meetings. And the reason why I'm here again is I caution you, what we need right now in the city of Selma, before we move forward in any kind of, you know, hiring people and all this stuff, as much money we spent in hiring these people, I don't mind if they're there, but we should look, it's very important that we get a finance individual for our city to know where we're at as far as our finances. That way, one person, you know, says that I'm in charge of financing, but it puts a lot of burden on that individual. And I'm old school, and I don't like to put burden on anybody. I like to have some in their job, in their description, what they're good at. You know, they're a finance person, a bookkeeper. Hey, they're trained for that. Like a fireman, he's trained for fire department. A police officer, he's trained for police department. Public works, he's trained in public works, you know. City manager, he's trained in those fields too. You know, things like that are very important for our city, but since we haven't had a finance person individual in our community, it's devastation there. It's a problem to happen. It's gonna happen. There's no question about it. So it's before we move forward in our city, we must, and very important, you must get a finance individual to know exactly where your finances are totally, down to the penny. That way you can adjust, like insurances and stuff like this, raises, allowances, car insurance and stuff like this. It's very important. You need that. And this way, there's no mistakes down the road as far as audits and stuff like this, you know. And as far as asking for, grants, because they want to see your book record, and people, grant writers, they look at, hey, we want to see what you got on your books. If you're genuine, but if you're starting to change the books, whatever, that doesn't fly, because sooner or later you're going to get caught. So once again, I caution you, you have to get a finance person. Whatever it costs, get one, because I would stop the hiring right now and get a finance individual, and before we move forward with the city of Selma. Thank you.
Anybody else with a comment? Anybody online or on the phone?
As a reminder to the caller online, please use your raise your hand feature and we will add you to the meeting queue. Mayor Robertson, at this time, I see no hands raised.
Great, thank you. That will bring the meeting back to the council, and with no more oral communications, we will move on to special presentations. The first of which is the Chriscom Company update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Renee Masakian. I am the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of the Chriscom Company, which we do your legislative affairs and advocacy. I have with me our President and CEO, Chuck Jaloyan, along with our President of Public Affairs, Carol Sarian. And even though it is not Bring Your Daughter to Work Day, I do also have my daughter Caitlin with me. So anyways, just there's our introductions, and let me go through with our update. For the California legislative landscape, in June 2024, Governor Gavin Newsom signed the 2024 state budget, which aims to support fiscal stability while maintaining investments in core programs such as education, homelessness, and mental health care. The budget addresses a $46.8 billion shortfall through a combination of spending reductions and other measures, while maintaining a $22.2 billion in total reserves by the end of the year's 2024-2025 fiscal year. The California legislature adjourned for its summer recess on July 3rd, 2024, after a busy two-week period. They reconvened and finished the 2023-2024 session just this past August 31st. The final days of the session were marked by a flurry of activity as lawmakers rushed to pass remaining bills. Governor Gavin Newsom now has until September 30th, 2024 to sign or veto any bills passed by the legislature. This legislation session occurs in a major election year with the presidential election coming up in November. This influences the political dynamics and decision-making process. Lawmakers are cautious about passing politically risky bills that could affect their reelection proposals. The legislature has passed a spending plan that rejects many of Governor Newsom's proposed budget costs, opting instead for alternative revenue sources, such as a temporary tax increase on certain businesses. This plan aims to bridge an estimated $45 billion deficit while avoiding cuts to essential programs. However, some contentious issues like minimum wage increase for healthcare workers remain unresolved. For Selma's budget request, given the challenging budget landscape, the Budget Committee has decided there will be no district earmark requests at this time. However, we are actively positioning ourselves to be at the front of the line for next year's district earmark requests. The following are the projects that had been submitted for the state budget requests, which were $3 million for Pioneer Village and $10 million for the downtown revitalization. In light of the significant budget deficit in California, we've diligently been working with our U.S. Senator, Senator Padilla, who expressed strong interest in our project, engaging in detailed discussions and ultimately championing it through the submission process. But despite his support for this project, unfortunately, this committee did not advance through the Appropriations Committee. We are still continuing to work with Senator Padilla's office to urge the Appropriations Committee to add our request for that budget. Our original request was $5 million for the Selma sewer and stormwater infrastructure rehabilitation. He put it forward at $2 million. The Sacramento Snapshot, CRISCOM proudly provides the City of Selma with our CRISCOM Sacramento Snapshot, which is a resource that delivers concise summaries of all relevant bills that the California legislature is working on. We also include status updates to keep the city informed about where the bills are in the legislative process. The city administration receives our Sacramento Snapshot biweekly, ensuring that they are always updated on important legislative developments. The CRISCOM company is very proud of our track record that we've had in the City of Selma. We began our relationship with the City of Selma in December 2015 and about a dozen city managers ago. During our tenure, we have been able to secure $10 million in direct funding for the city, with $4.5 million for the Selma Fire Station, $4 million for the Selma Police Station, and $1.5 million for the Selma Storm Drain Repair. This is an excellent return on investment for the city. In addition to that, CRISCOM was also instrumental in bringing the boot barn to Selma when we helped with economic development when we first began working in the City of Selma. Between the $10 million funding award and the tax dollars from the boot barn, our ROI is about 25 times what the city has paid to us. That alone would be an amazing return. However, our firm also worked on very important legislation with the City of Selma, along with Assemblymember Dr. Arambula, and our city council and the leadership of the city manager, Fernando Santillan, in passing California Assembly Bill AB 2780 in September 2022. Not only did passing this important legislation for the city of Selma save the city from paying $400,000 in an overdue bill from years previous, but it also gave them the ability to initiate, participate in, govern, and finance an enhanced infrastructure financing district. Passing legislation such as this is hard to quantify in a dollar amount, but it will certainly benefit the City of Selma in the millions of dollars with the possibilities of new economic development and growth. Lastly, the City of CRISCOM has been working with the city manager and the department heads on helping them with various grants. Our firm diligently researches grant funding opportunities, which we pass on to the city for the city to review and identify any viable projects. There are a handful of grants we have worked on. However, our firm has not charged the City of Selma for this research and assistance in grant writing. Most recently, we did work on a tobacco grant for the police department, which we did charge a highly discounted rate. In closing, as stated above, our firm is very proud of our record with the City of Selma and the work we have done helping the city receive much needed funding for important projects. We are privileged to be working with such a great city and value the relationships we have made, including our membership and participation with the Selma Chamber of Commerce. We know this past year has been a difficult one financially with state and federal funding. However, we are positioning the City of Selma in such a way we believe the next funding year will be a brighter outlook, and we look forward to continuing our work with the City of Selma. So I'm not sure if anyone has any questions. I'm happy to answer them. And I also just want to let you all know that the city manager and I do have biweekly calls. So we always, know what's going on in the city. If there's anything extra that we can do to help, we have offered our assistance with economic development. We've gone to ICSC and we've represented Selma. And so in a lot of ways, we're doing a lot of things that aren't really part of our retainer agreement and what we're paid for. We're just doing it because we do appreciate working for the city and we do have a really good relationship with the city manager. So if anybody has any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer. Oh, and we also, in a couple weeks, we have a staff meeting with the City of Selma and the department heads on the 18th. And so our whole team will be here. And so we'll be going over what the priorities are and seeing if there's any new projects, if there's anything that we're going to be asking, you know, budget-wise. We do have, since we didn't get the funds that we wanted this year, are those the same things we're going for? Are we going to add anything new? But like I said, we are still in constant communication with your elected representatives as well as, you know, the budget committees and other members. So.
I just want to thank you for the information, and Chuck, I want to thank you guys for what you've been doing, but I think you're minimizing the dividends and the return of rate where we're going to be getting under AB 2780 because, and I want to share because at the end of the day, I was there at the Capitol and speaking on behalf of Selma, also the city manager. And one of the biggest attributes was you guys let us go and speak with our elected officials. And it was great to see Senator Caballero chair the assembly and they were there. And there's a lot of people that played a very crucial role. But the significant, what this bill did is going to pay dividends. And I want to just read to you what the author wrote in regards to what it stated, what was Selma under the attack, and you guys came and, you know, it looked like we weren't going to get this passed through, right? And it stated that according to the author, varying cities of counties who missed deadlines codified early a decade ago from even forming an enhanced infrastructure financing district, even if they have since dispensed of assets or accordance, can no longer, and the outstanding debts were going to be placed. So we weren't going to be able to do this. And this law gives all our developers the ability to place their property and give, and this is for the community because we had our hands tied. And you guys came aboard and you guys told us, hey, maybe we can do this, right? And we felt maybe it couldn't get done, but it got done. That's going to be, that from now on is going to give any developer to go and create an enhanced district, which is going to give a tool, which we couldn't do that prior to this. And our city manager spoke there and spoke very good. Our assemblyman also spoke, and everybody worked together. But your team was the catalyst, and we want to thank you for that because that's going to be paying dividends in the many years to come
Thank
for
you.
our misfortunes.
Thank you, council member. We appreciate it, but we know we had good leadership with the city, with the council, with the city manager's office, and of course with Assembly Member Dr. Joaquin Arambula. He wrote it, he championed it, and we worked pretty diligently making sure that that was something that was going to get passed. Because, you know, it's not just about talking about the one elected member of your community. We have to be out there talking to all the other elected members, making sure that they're all on board and they all vote to pass these types of legislation. So thank you for the compliment, but I thank you as well for, you know, the leadership from the city.
I didn't realize you went to the ICSC. That's the International Council of Shopping Centers. Very important. It's a regional event. It's a national event. Then Mayor Pro Tem Avalos and I went to a few of those events when we were in negotiations with Target for a store here before the internet really came in and did some damage there. We'd still like to be in the contention for that, but I think it's really important for the city to be a presence at these places where we can actually realize gains now. Tax increments are great and they can be looked at as a long-term play for the future. But we have to look at cash flow every year in order to pay the payroll, which is on the agenda for tonight, right? So we also have to have not just that 20-year vision, but we also have to be ready to prepare for right now and keeping food on the table of the employees and making sure that we're able to provide those vital services that the city needs. And I think that's where you step in, you're a bit of a middleman there, middle person where you come in and bridge that gap between these important items that do, come to the federal government and the assembly and these opportunities that maybe we don't necessarily know about, but you bring to our attention. A lot of people say, $4,500 a month to these people that haven't brought the city anything in a couple years. What are you doing with our taxpayer money? And I think you coming tonight illustrating that, hey, it's not just about short-term gain, it's about long-term as well, I think is very important. And I thank you for that. And I thank you for the long-standing relationship with the city of Selma.
Absolutely. Can
Oh, yeah.
I just thank you. And it is, we were in ICSC in May and we did, pass out information on Selma. We've been going for 10, 15, 20 years. So we have a very long list of contacts and vendors that are there. We typically go to the one in Vegas. There are others, but Vegas is the largest and the most economic because it's the closest, rather than going to Florida. I've tried to get Chuck to pay me to go to Hawaii. He just won't do it. I don't know if anybody, wants to encourage him. So we have done that. And that is a longevity thing because I think the boot barn took some time. And it's also a longevity, every year for what we're going to do in Sacramento or even DC, every year is not going to be a win. We're going to get a win one year and maybe not the next year. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. And, hopefully people understand that. But
Well, just very, very, very briefly, and Mayor, thank you for the kind words. Number one, we have to work every day to keep the confidence up with you guys, and that's what we think about every day. And Fernando gets a little relentless sometimes, and we can talk about that later, but he asks us to do things. We want to continue to do it. I will say we haven't changed our retainer. We have not ever asked for a raise in 9 years. And that just shows, I don't think we've expensed you anything in a million years, a long, long time. So we do this on our own. And as Renee said, this is a very important town to us. We get to go to some of your events. We enjoy every minute of it and we'll keep it up. And I appreciate, the words to me.
Thanks very much.
You did a great job. Now you know why I put her up here instead of me.
I just want to say thank you so much. When I first came on to council, I heard this thing called the EIFD. So I started researching what is it about, what will it bring to Selma? So that I started asking the previous administration, we need to get this cleared. My understanding was, I think it was like 10 years that we had this deficit or this past due bill, overdue bill of $400,000 that we couldn't pay. And even if we paid it, we weren't guaranteed that we were going to be able to get that, off the books. So thank you for, fighting for this and championing for this AB 2780, because that was big. It's an assembly bill. It actually had to go to legislation to actually get it, off the books and get cleared. And so thank you so much for that and working really hard on that, because I don't know if everyone understands the impact that this EIFD has. And so, and I think when City Manager Santiago came on board, I asked him too, I said, this thing called EIFD, we need to get rid of it. Like we need to be able to do something about it because, it's holding back our growth. And so once we got that done, I felt like it was just a huge relief, so $400,000 past due bill for over 10 years. And you guys took it to the assembly to get that cleared off. Thank you so much for that.
again, for your support. Thank you all.
If I could just say something really quick, Renee, thank you for everything that you do. I really appreciate you making the time every other Thursday to keep me updated on your activities, and Chuck and the entire team, Carol, you guys have been fantastic to work with. Chuck, I'm only relentless because I know what you're capable of, and I want to see us reach our maximum potential, but thank you. You guys do a great job. And hopefully we'll have you back here more frequently to share your updates to the council.
And we will see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Thank you.
Any comments from the public about CRISCOM, grant writing, lobbying? Anybody online or on the phone who would like to make a comment?
1057 Mill Street, Rose Robertson. So 54,000 a year that Chris Crum receives. When was the last, I heard tobacco grant? How much was that? That was, and what year did we receive it?
Got it.
Oh, okay, so so I'm just kind of calculating, I'm always about numbers since of course we don't have a finance director still. Um,
Got it. Thank you.
So I'm just calculating 5 years, that's $270,000. But you know, there's a deficit going on. So I'm just cautious and looking at all the money. Um, So I'm just concerned about all this money going out. That's very close to the 350 that was gifted from the reserve as public funds. So a lot of money is constantly going out. So we just have to be very cautious with the taxpayer money and be concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
Just to
other
clarify,
comments at this
council,
time?
if I may, just to clarify, there is no deficit. The city does not have a budget deficit. And it wouldn't be considered a gift of public funds because we pay a contractor, through an agreement to provide services. Thank you.
Got it. Okay, since we're clarifying, we'll clarify the 400,000. Maybe the council member is talking about the RDA, the old redevelopment. There was a bill where the city manager put several city properties into the city's name instead of going into the successor agency, which led to a $750,000 bill from the state controller, which the city had to pay, and the city couldn't get out of its successor agency and wipe that debt clean without getting that debt paid off first. And then it had to, the city can also not qualify for the EIFD without being able to clear the books of the successor agency. So just wanted to go into a little more detail for that and let you know the origin of where that bill came from. Thank you. With that, we will move on to our consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar category are considered routine. The complete consent calendar will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote. For purposes of discussion, any council member may have an item removed from the consent calendar and made part of the regular agenda. The council can then approve the remainder of the consent calendar. Does anyone have any items they would like to remove tonight?
Mayor, I'd like to remove item E.
Anybody else? I'd like to remove item H. Is there a motion to approve items A through D and F through G?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro.
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Item E.
Okay, let me go back to item E. Okay. Okay, consideration of resolution awarding contract RJ Berry Junior Inc. for the Selma Sidewalk Phase 2 project CDBG. And I'm just confirming because I know I've mentioned this probably now my third time, but because it's come up to me. And Mrs. Gomez that lives at 2201 Yerba Street is one of them. And Mr. Joe Gonzalez is the other one at 2305 Nebraska Street. Cross street is Van Horn. And I'm just confirming, are they in this phase 2 project?
So I don't know the exact address on Yerba, but there's an exhibit that was attached, I believe, to the staff report.
Mhm.
And tonight's action awarding the project to RJ Berry is for the 23,561 CDBG funds.
Okay.
And that project was proposed 2 years ago for this block specifically that you see on the exhibit. And so it does include a Yerba Street, but I don't have the exact addresses.
It does include.
The exhibit, yeah, Yerba Street is the north portion of
Right.
this project.
Okay, and does it include the 2305 Nebraska Street?
I don't think so, and I believe I understand the site that you're talking about
Right.
on Nebraska. That area was included in the 24,561, which would be under construction next year. So the CDBG funds are allocated every year, and it takes 2 years to go from project application to actual construction. So on this project for tonight to be awarded to RJ Berry is for specifically the improvements shown on this exhibit, borders Yerba, Van Horn, Valley View, and Skelton. And next year's project, which we proposed last year, actually included as much area within the allowable census block in this area. So the plan is I know specifically which portion of sidewalk you're talking about,
Mhm.
and it is definitely a part of the project we're working on for next year.
Okay, so that's where I get confused because the map includes Van Horn. So they're on the corner of Van Horn and Nebraska.
Correct, which is farther north than this block
Okay.
that we're talking
So-
about tonight.
Okay, so then you're saying they're gonna be in the next phase, which will be next year.
Correct.
Okay. And then, so for 2201 Yerba Street, which is Mrs. Gomez's property, she says well, her son's been dealing with it, and he says there's concerns there. He sent me some photos in regards to their property on how they did it, and it looks where they did the sidewalk here, or supposedly gonna put the dip. This is no interest. I mean, I get that they have to have ADA, it's gotta be ADA compliance, but they have a driveway, which if they put the sidewalk, that's their concern, is it's gonna cut off where they can't go onto the driveway. So is there gonna be a dip for them to be able to drive into their property? Because he says he's met twice now with city and no one can give him a clear answer. And he's just concerned that if they do the work, it's gonna be, not done properly.
So I did talk with, I believe, either that gentleman or his neighbor
Mhm.
when he called to ask about the question. And the funds for CDBG, which come from Fresno County and HUD, are specifically for the ADA connectivity, the sidewalk, and the ramps. So if that property doesn't currently have a drive approach, which I believe that property does not, it's a 6-inch curb, then we're not building new drive approaches for any of the parcels. We are specifically using this funding to connect the sidewalks. And so we'll continue to work with that property owner that if he wants to submit an encroachment permit
Right.
and to put in a drive approach
Mhm.
according to planning and zoning and the requirements, then we certainly will try and coordinate this project and our contractor with his attempt to do that. And if he puts in his drive approach, which he can do through an encroachment permit, then our contractor will not have to do that portion of sidewalk. And potentially we can use the funds to do more sidewalks in that area. We have talked to him and happy to continue speaking with him
Okay.
about his options.
Okay. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Any other questions on this item? Any members of the public have any questions on item E of the consent calendar? Anybody online or on the phone? The question regarding this connectivity project?
As a reminder to the caller online, please use your raise your hand feature and we will add you to the meeting queue. Mayor Robertson, I see no hands raised at this time.
Okay, with that, is there a motion to approve item E?
I'll make a motion to approve.
For a second,
I'll second.
call the roll, please.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes, item H, which is the check register. I had question on page 81, check number 84930, South County Veterinary PD office visit for 4 dogs. What's the detail on that? What did that entail?
Mayor, Director Rockhold is not present tonight. She is home with illness, but I can follow up tonight and hopefully have a response to you by tomorrow to send out to the council.
Appreciate that.
Mhm.
Thank you. 'Cause,
Sure.
I signed checks and it looked like this was 4 more euthanasias. I just wanted to confirm.
It's possible. Mhm.
Yeah, and that would make 8 euthanasias. And I thought when we got into the shelter, we were not going to euthanize for space. So I'd be curious to find out why those animals were euthanized, if in fact this is a bill for euthanasia for 4 dogs.
Yeah, I know they go through a very comprehensive health assessment for each of the animals that that they have to euthanize. So we can provide that as well. So we'll get that info to you tomorrow.
Thank you very
Mhm.
much. Last item, and it's blanked out. It's not 849, I think it's 84944 Yamabe and Horn Engineering. The May bill is 291,426, and it's partial reimbursement. My question is, what percentage of that 291,000 will be recovered through permits and permit fees? Because I've never seen an engineering bill even close to that for a month.
We can get that information for the council in terms of what percentage is reimbursable through, I think it's various sources in terms of plan check fees, and I think some of the projects are CDBG, you heard is an item that was brought up tonight. We have various funds that partially reimburse or grants that are partially reimbursable for some of their services, but we can get information regarding the
I
percentage.
appreciate that because members of the public look at this check register along with me, and that was a big item. People look for big line items, and that was a big one, and that would be helpful to be able to explain that to
Sure,
residents.
Mayor, and I would suggest, if I may, if you have questions like that going forward, if you could maybe shoot me an email prior to the council meeting, and I think we can absolutely prepare for the meeting with those numbers so that we don't have to follow up after the fact.
Sure.
Mhm.
I can absolutely do that, but this is the point of having a public meeting is so the public knows that we are following up because our function as council members is to provide that financial oversight, which I'm sure you respect.
Well, my suggestion wasn't to not discuss it, it's just so we have the numbers ready to discuss it in the public meeting.
I'll certainly look at that and take that under review, and I appreciate your comments, city manager. But the point is, we're going to look at that, everybody, and we're going to get back to you on the percentage of that. Moving on with my review of the finances and the check register, going on to the Cal card. This is more of a general observation, and the general observation is there's a ton of gas charges on this. I thought that there was a contract with the school district, and my suspicion is that the pump is out and that people had to go somewhere else. Is that true? And do we have a ETA on when the pumps will be repaired and you don't have to go all over town getting gas everywhere? Not that that's a bad thing for the local gas providers.
The school district actually did an upgrade to their facilities. Part of our fuel payments monthly goes to facility investment, and they replaced both fuel pumps. And so there was a down period for roughly, I want to say 5 weeks, where we had to get fuel in other areas. And that's reflected in the fuel bills that are typically $30,000 to $40,000 a month. And it was, I think, 6 or 7 grand for the month of June that it was down. So it evens itself out.
Got it. So the percentage increase going to the local providers as opposed to going to the school district, somewhere around 20%, 25%?
I'm not sure what the percentage is.
But it's higher. It's more. Is that correct? To go to the local gas providers as opposed to going to the school gas pumps because it's a volume discount?
Yeah, I mean, it varies because the prices change constantly.
Okay. Anybody else with any questions about the check register or the Cal card charges?
I have a couple. Okay, page 80, check number 84897, Johnson and Wood Construction. And it says, progress payment, number 1, Senior Center for $291,582.95. Now, what was that for?
That was for the repair work that was done to the senior center from the damage in February of 23 when the tree fell on the roof. That is our contractor that did the reconstruction to that building. That was their first draw on that project.
Okay, but when that's covered by insurance, which city manager stated that is covered. Any damage should be a named peril under the policy, and that should be covered under the loss.
That is a reimbursable.
So this is going to be reimbursed?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so it should have an R there?
Yes.
Okay. Check number 84901, William J. Least, HR Internal Affairs Investigation for $14,364.55. What was that for?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. That bill is going to be a firm that we outsource our internal affairs to and their personal or their internal investigations for the department. We don't do internal affairs internally at the department, so we contract with this outside firm.
Or only if there's a claim?
They're for internal employee affairs. Right, and there doesn't necessarily have to be a claim, it's just some sort of policy violation or a complaint or those kinds of things.
Okay, I think that's it for me.
Anybody
Thank
from
you.
the public with any questions about the check register?
Brian Ceballos. So what I want to know is, why does everybody always come to these meetings unprepared? Seriously. And it's always Council Member Sarah Guerra and Mayor Scott Robinson always asking the questions about the check register and the call card. It's never John Trujillo, Bev Cho, or Blanca Mendoza Navarro. Why? Because they don't care? What's in it for you guys? That's what I want to know. You guys never ask questions. You guys don't care where this money goes, comes from, whatever, what have you. Why? Because not your money? I mean, you guys live here. You have brag about your businesses. I mean, I don't understand. What are you guys hiding, my friends? What are you guys hiding? The city manager always says, "Oh, I'll follow up with it. Oh, we'll follow up with it," but there's never a follow up. How sad, how embarrassing, and how pathetic. You guys are so sad, and you guys do not deserve to be up there. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. Don't smile at me like that. Don't grin at me like that, because you know I'm telling the truth. Seriously. Think about that, and think about that before you run again. Thank you.
I just have a clarification. The process, and maybe it's more kind of towards the mayor just to ask, but this process of the check register and how we do it, this has been in place for many years, right? There hasn't been any changes or anything like that.
No, the only changes we've made are to add the prefixes to the description so that it's clear what department they correspond to.
Okay, because again, I think I mentioned it before, and I mean, I have a meeting with you, a standing meeting every single Monday, so if I have any questions about this, but I mean, the public is open to asking for receipts, and so when I'm reading these are pretty clear to me. You know, we have budgets that we've approved, or at least we approved a couple of years' budgets in the last 2 years. It was a majority budget approval. So I know in my role, I make sure that we have the receipts before we even pay anything. And so before we even signing the checks. So I just want to know the process has not changed in the years that we've been here. Maybe, I know you've only done it a couple of years, but Mayor, has the process changed?
Asking me a question,
I am
Councilmember?
asking you a question.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So I'll take it from here. Thanks. Must have struck a nerve tonight with you. The check register, I do sign checks regularly. They're called accounts payable checks. I'm one of 4 signatures on that. But when I do sign the checks, the only thing I can ask about per my role as mayor in a weak mayor form of government, as you pointed out several times, I can't interfere with staff. So I am extremely careful after my 12 years tenure of knowing where the line is between interfering and not interfering. So when I sign the checks, the only thing I can ask is about the formal part of the checks. I can't get to the bottom of it and ask about issues like we're asking tonight. Secondly, This is a public meeting, as I've had this discussion with you several times, and we'll do it again, I guess. Meeting is for the people to be part of the money that they spend on the government. And let me remind you, one of our main functions, if not the main function, is to provide that financial oversight. To me, this is a very important part. It may be inconvenient, it may be a time waste for you, but not for the public and not for the people, and certainly not for me, or I wouldn't have run for office and been elected 4 times and going for a 5th term.
Well, I'm asking
because
for
it's
the chair
very
register. I'm not
important.
asking about your.
Okay, I'm talking, so wait till I'm done, like I waited for you. And this is per your Selma Code of Conduct, that you don't interrupt other council members. So may I proceed? Thank you. So on this check register, these are items that the public has an interest in. I've been asked about these. I have an interest in them. So we will ask about these items in front of the public and to see if the public has any issues. It may be uncomfortable. You may not like what you hear, but it is part of the process of having a public meeting, council member. If you don't like it, then try to change it. But as you said, that it's been this way for many years now, this check registers. So if you want to change it, try to change it. As you took away our oral communications for the public in the second part of the meeting, try to take this away too now. But I can tell you, I won't vote for that. I vote for the public to know what's happening to their money. And I make no apologies.
Okay, and I'm not, just a point of clarification, I'm not wanting to change anything. We're a public agency, so we are governed by the public policies that we have to show where all of the money is. My question was just, as far as, when the process, has it changed? I'm not changing anything, and I know that this is all public funds, and we do need to be totally transparent. I'm just, it would be nice if you had a question, then that way staff can be prepared, because when I have a question about certain things, I say, this is what I have a question on, and then that way they're prepared to send out the response, and it doesn't look like we're not being prepared, which we are. So that was just my point. Thank you.
Thank you. And not to interrupt, I appreciate your comment, council member. And I
Microphone check, 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Microphone check. To the members of the public watching, I apologize. Thank you. It looks like everything's back up. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're back in session. Is there a motion to approve the check register tonight?
I'll make a
I'll make
motion
motion.
to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Item 1, consideration of a resolution accepting the classification and compensation study reports provided by Ramos HR Consulting.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. The item you have before you, as you said, is consideration of resolution accepting the classification and compensation study reports. In December of 23, council approved the agreement with Ramos HR Consulting to perform the classification and compensation consultant services. We have our consultants on site tonight. They will be presenting, they'll have a presentation about the reports that they have submitted, and I will turn that over to them.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Jennifer Ramos. I'm the founder and CEO of Ramos HR Consulting. We've had the privilege of working with your city for the past 8 months, and tonight I'm going to go over the results of our citywide classification and compensation study. Next slide, please. Previous slide, please. So I just want to take the opportunity to thank my team member, Karen Barosio. She has served as co-project manager throughout the duration of the study. We both have had the great privilege of partnering with all of the department heads and meeting with many of the employees throughout the city. And so I just want to thank her. She's in the audience with me today. Next slide, please. So as Janie pointed out, we have been at this for the past 8 months. We started in January with a project initiation. We met with the executive team. We walked them through what our strategy and approach would be, just to make sure there was open communication about the process. We did go through a process in February of position description questionnaires, and the next slide's going to cover that pretty extensively. And we did conduct interviews with employees. We then took all of the information that we collected and we compiled it into 2 separate reports. We start with the classification study first, and I'll talk a little bit about that next, and then we go into the compensation study. The reason we start with the classification study is we're really looking to make sure that titles, levels, the scope of work that's being performed is clearly understood by our firm before we go out to the labor market to collect salary data. So we want to make sure that job descriptions are current and accurate. If there's anything that we need to do in terms of recommending changes, maybe we recommend a new level, a new classification series, we correct those issues before going out to the labor market. So we always start with classification, then lead into compensation. It's our understanding that both reports were distributed citywide as of July 1st. When we started the study, we received an allocation list with 174 employees. We understand that the city is dynamic, so through attrition, you may have lost some employees or gained some employees, but that was the snapshot in time that we started the study, and that is what the reports represent. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the PDQs, it's really just going through a 3-tiered process of trying to learn about your city. We start with the subject matter experts, which are the employees who are actually performing the work. We give them a document, it's standardized, everybody receives the same document, and we ask them to write down, what are the duties that you're performing? Is there anything that you want our firm to consider throughout this process? So we always start with the employees first. Then we take that document and we elevate it to their direct supervisor. The direct supervisor is instructed, please do not alter any of the information that the employee provides. But if you'd like to elaborate or maybe clarify a point, you have your own separate section to do that. From there, we compiled all of the documents and we bumped them up to the department manager or the department head. And really the purpose of that is when we reach the point of recommendations, we don't want anybody to be blindsided. We want everybody to have fully participated in the process and be aware of what's being said in the documentation. Through that 3-tiered process, we flag any documents that require further questioning. Maybe if the supervisor and the employee don't agree, or there's something that's maybe an acronym in the industry that we're not aware of, we flag that and we go into an interview process. Next slide, please. So the interviews can be individual interviews or they can be group interviews. So we took both approaches, and really, again, it's just not relying only on written word, but talking to the employees, meeting with them and giving them an opportunity to share any other information that they wanted us to consider throughout the process. The interviews were anywhere from 45 minutes. We conducted them remotely in some cases, and we were on site for several days. We were able to meet with employees face to face as well. Next slide. The allocation factors. So as we're studying all of the positions, we really want to set criteria or tools that we can evaluate consistently across the board. And these are called our allocation factors. So we don't just look at title. We don't just consider the scope of work. We consider all of these factors in total relation to each other. It's whole job methodology. So we might ask, are they doing any budgetary functions? If so, what's the size of the budget? Do they have any direct reports? Are they supervising 2 individuals, 200 individuals? There's a big difference in that scope of work. So we're looking at level of complexity of the work that's being performed, what kind of knowledge is required on the job, what level of degree. So all of those factors are called allocation factors, and we consider everything. Slide, please. So there's 4 possible outcomes. Once we collect all that data, we independently analyze that. We're really trying to categorize the outcomes into 4 buckets. The first one, which is the most common, is no change or maintain. And that's not to suggest that there's nothing being done to the work, but we might take the job description. We see that 80% or more of the duties that are being performed are pretty consistent. We might update, we might remove 2 duty statements, add 3 or 4, but the scope of work and those allocation factors is generally being maintained at the same level. There's nothing concerning. So the majority of the outcomes for the city did fall into that category, which we will show you in a few slides. Another possible outcome is retitling. So we might say, you know, based on the industry standards, this needs to be updated. One example of that in your city would be fire division chief being changed to, or retitled to battalion chief. So that's just one example. We have outdated language in government. Karen and I have been working in government for over 20 years, so we might see clerk typist. So that's an outdated title. We just want to get current with industry standards. So those are some examples of that. Next slide. We can also recommend a reclassification. So reclassification is when we're suggesting or recommending that an employee move from one existing class to another existing class. So just for the sake of an example, let's say you have an HR analyst and you have a senior HR analyst classification that already exists. We see that the incumbent has been performing more complex duties over an extended period of time. You know, maybe they've acquired additional duties over 18 months, 24 months. And we say they're really operating at that higher level, then we will recommend a reclassification. And then the last outcome, which is more rare, but it does happen, is a new classification. So that's when we look at the duties. So we see this when maybe departments are merged or there's highly specialized work that's created. We'll say nothing exists in the city today that really works. We really need to do something new, something different. So we create a new class in that case. Next slide. So this is a high-level overview of those 176 employees that we talked about at the beginning and the outcomes. As I pointed out earlier, the majority of the majority of the outcomes were in the no change category. We did have some cases of retitling, 12. There was only one case of reclassification. From my recollection, that was in the Public Works Department, moving somebody from maintenance worker from level 1 to level 2. And then we had new classification. So one of the areas of opportunity we identified was the administrative series or clerical series wasn't clear in the city. So we recommended office assistant 1, 2, administrative assistant, senior administrative assistant, and then executive assistant to be with the city manager's office. So it creates a career ladder that helps with retention efforts because staff know how to grow within your organization. Next slide. We also looked at exemption status. So we looked at the Fair Labor Standards Act, and every year in January, under important dates, that salary threshold does increase. So again, based on the point in time that we started the study, we did look at July 1st of 2024. And so that was the very first thing. We said, what positions in the city meet that salary threshold that we have to analyze further? From there, we went ahead and most of them were middle management positions. We went ahead and we looked at two key areas or themes that kind of emerged as a result of that analysis, particularly in safety, and that's for first responders and also manual labor jobs. That's another two criteria that we look at very carefully. So when all was said and done, when we looked at FLSA, we had 11 recommended changes. So most moving from non-exempt to exempt. And I think we had one case where we went the opposite direction. Slide. So we get this question a lot, but parameters that are not included in the study, we're not looking at supervisory performance issues. So if employees use their interview time period with us to vent about their concerns about their supervisor, that's not something that we look at. We also do not look at workload efficiency issues. So if there's staffing issues, maybe there's been high turnover in a department. So a few individuals pick up more work. There's more volume of work, but not complexity. We don't look at that. That's more staffing. We stay out of the politics. We're a neutral third party. So we come in, we objectively use those tools that I shared earlier and just make some recommendations. We also don't look at individual performance. So if a supervisor says, I really want to give this person a reclassification because they're a superstar and they take on more work and they're exceptional, we don't look at individual performance or personalities. We look at the duties that are actually being performed. Next slide. As I mentioned at the beginning, we really are taking a snapshot in time. It's a point in time analysis. And this is really important because, again, the organization evolves. And so we're really just trying to compare apples to apples. And so we do the same as we lead into the compensation portion of the presentation. We're really just trying to collect MOUs, salary data, and so forth that is at the same point in time or date. Next slide. So for labor market position, we represent in our report the data that we collected in 3 different formats. So we're looking at the market median. You have 14 labor market agencies that we surveyed. And so that would be if we collected, let's say as an example, 10 data points. We would line up those 10 data points and whatever is in the middle of the pack, that's the market median. That tends to be a more stable, what's considered a more stable data point because it's not skewed by any sort of mean, high and low outliers or outlier pairs. The market mean is the arithmetic average. So let's say those 10 data points, we collected the data and then we would divide by 10 and that would be the mean. Now, the city in 2022 adopted a policy that where and when it was financially sustainable, you would consider the 60th percentile. So we also represented data in the report using the 60th percentile for that reason. Slide. We did meet with administration to select the labor market. We were very careful in how we identified the labor market. Some of the factors we look at is agency size. So we want to make sure that, for example, in the previous study that the city conducted, we learned that there were 19 labor market agencies. You compare to the Fresno County would be one. So the size of that agency is much larger. Also the services that they provide. So there's not always a good matches for data matching. So we chose to eliminate that one. There were also 3 school districts that were included in the original list. And while business services might translate over, that we found that the majority of the city's positions didn't translate over. So for efficiency, we chose to remove those 4 agencies. So we really look at, are they close in proximity to your city? Are they a part of your industry? Are they a local municipality? Are they a school district? You know, what are the services that are being provided? And then are you competing with them? Are you losing them through recruitment efforts, you know, because they're being recruited elsewhere? So we do look at that factor as well. Next slide. So the labor market ended up being 14 local cities. And again, for efficiency, this was a list that we went with. Next slide. Of benchmark selection. So as I mentioned in the beginning, there were 76 classifications in your city at the time that we started. And so what we really try to do when we're choosing benchmarks, we can't survey all 76. The contract doesn't allow for that. So we have to be strategic in the positions we do survey. And so we really want to have representation across all departments. We don't want to have 30 or 40 in 2 departments because that would be unfair. So we really try to spread the wealth across different departments. We also look for any classifications that have multiple incumbents. So if you have a class that has 1 or 2 individuals, but then you have another class that has 10, we know that there's more impact to the 10 individuals. So we factor that. We also look at journey level classifications because that middle, let's say in a series with 4 levels, if we survey that 2nd or 3rd level, it gives us some ability to make salary recommendations upward or downward. So it's a very strategic point to look at. And then we also look at entry level and management level. Entry level, we tend to shy away from because it could inflate or bring salaries down, and then management level could inflate salaries if you're setting differentials in the series. So again, the journey level tends to be a little bit more consistent, but then we also shy away from single incumbent classes and specialized work because it's only one individual in the classification, with the exception of management level classifications. And then the benchmark classes are here. I think ends up being about 38 classifications, which out of the 76 is pretty close to 50%. So that's a really good number. When we work with other agencies, sometimes they only have in their budget to survey like 30%. That's pretty standard, 30, 40%. So we did survey 50% of the classifications, which is a great number. Next slide. So when we're collecting the data, we're really looking at all of those allocation factors. We're not just matching title to title. We're pulling documents to see, is this position even still active in the labor market at that agency? Maybe it was budgeted years ago, but they haven't used it in 4 years. So we look at that, we look at organization charts, we look at the job descriptions, we look at allocation factors, really everything in totality together. We also require 3 matches to say that this is sound data because we can't set a market median if there's not at least 3 data points. We also, if there's not 3 data points, we consider it insufficient. We say we don't have enough information to make a sound recommendation, and we note that in our report, and the report has 2 cases of that. And we're really representing the overall data as positive or negative. So positive means that it's above the labor market currently. And if it's negative, represented by a negative number, then that means you're behind or lagging in the market. And that's what it would take to bring up to your labor market. The city would have to move the salary by that much. Next slide. And this is the final slide. It's a nice high-level overview of the results of all of our work. And based on the labor market trends, again, going out to the labor market, 14 agencies, surveying those 38 classifications, compiling the data, we found that an easy way to see where the most, a way to view the data would be to prioritize it in like triage approach. So say priority 1 being the farthest behind in the market, which is anywhere lagging 16 to 25%. And then the next tier, priority 2, would be 6 to 15% lagging in the market. And then priority 3 would be within 5%. And that's pretty consistent with cost of living adjustments, which tend to be between 1 and 3, sometimes 5%. So we just thought this was a nice high-level way to just categorize the results, but it's at the city's discretion how you choose to move forward and implement. And so with that, I will conclude my presentation, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Great, thank you. Does council have any questions for Ms. Ramos?
No, I just want to say thank you for this great presentation. It was very thorough and very easy to read as far as where everything was at. And it makes sense for you to go and figure out what does somebody do? Because, you know, they can say, this is my job title, but this is really what I do. And sometimes there's those day-to-days that we don't think about, right? That's not in the job description. So it's usually falls in those other duties as assigned type of thing. But great presentation and great work. Thank you.
I have 2 questions. Great presentation, but in the labor market selected, you have 14 cities. Can you give me reasons as to why you have Clovis and Fresno? I mean, I could see everyone else, but those 2, why do you, is it because they're leaving there? What was the base of you guys including them in this group?
From my recollection, it's geographic proximity was really driving that and losing certain talent in, I know, safety of
So the logistics is the miles of where they're at and what they're doing, or?
where employees would reasonably drive for work that's paying significantly more.
Yeah, like I mentioned, those big cities offer signing bonuses, you know, and those bonuses can run from 10,000 to 20,000 just to sign on with them. So that's something that, and, you know, smaller cities, we could, of course, we can get on with the larger city, going to, especially when they're getting offered signing bonus. So that's always very competitive. Lose individuals because of that.
Yeah, I had the similar reaction when I saw the 14 comparator agencies. I wondered, where's Parlier? I mean, it's right there. City has a contract with them to do the dispatch for the PD. Why wouldn't Parlier have been included?
So I know we used the 19 agencies that were used in the last study as the basis, like the starting point for consideration. And then we collected data, agency size, a geographic proximity. That's when we made the decision to remove school districts in the county. So that wasn't, we were going for efficiency to finish the study by the July 1st date. We were looking to reduce the list, and we did not factor it in for that reason.
But the city has lost employees to Parlier and has gotten employees from Parlier as well, though, right? Isn't that part of one of the criteria of being included on the list?
Absolutely, but I'm not aware of that data, and so that's something that we can consider for the future. We use past practice as the foundation.
Okay. And then, does your firm do studies on the optimal number of employees as well? I'm seeing this is a classification study as well as a salary study. What about, a study in terms of efficiency and the number of employees to perform the functions of a city of this size?
Happy to do that work.
And you do that for other agencies, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Ramos or for her firm from the public tonight? Do we have anybody online or on the phone with any questions or issues?
As a reminder to the callers online, please use your raise your hand feature and we will add you to the meeting queue.
Jim Avalon, 1701 Dinuba. The study, don't get me wrong, the study is nice, guys, but I'd like to see more clarification on the size of each city that you did, and compared to our size of City of Selma, and how they and each department they have and how they're conducted in their operation as far as staff members and classifications. You know, this thing's going my only in America. No, so yeah, I want to see more, depth into the other cities of their classification. Every city's got a classification, our departments, and I understand it, technicians all the way down. But I want to see list of the cities that you did as far as the classification. I'm sorry. To that way the council can have a better understanding of the classifications and salaries and get a good gauge of what is going on. In the past, we did that, we get the surrounding cities around us and gauge it that way and to be fair and for the taxpayers around us. And it made a great relationships by far. And it kept the city in, how would I say, financial good all the time. And it gave our employees a fair wages and cost of livings and everything and insurance. And it made our city more sound and secure. It made more, we were more business friendly in that area as well. So those studies were important in the past, but we did it according to the city of our size, not other cities that are 3 times as big as us. No way. We're not that big. We don't have that much income coming in. Revenues we're based on a certain type of revenue in our city coming in, and we base our, that's how we base our income for our workers in the city. How we provide these, and it's tough. That's why we gauge, we can only have so many employees because we only have so much money our population's only so big. We're not like Clovis, we're not like Fresno, we're not like Visalia, we're not like in the Bay Area or anything like that, where they have more money coming in the city than we do. So I suggest those studies are nice, but make sure their studies are done fairly in our community, taxpayers here in our community.
Thanks for your comments.
Thank you.
Anybody else with comments at this time? Bringing the matter back to council. Is there any more discussion before we ask for a motion for this resolution accepting this classification and compensation study? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Okay, we're going to take item 3 as item 2 tonight. So we're going to move to item 3, which is provide direction regarding potential addition of the March for Jesus event and removal of the Tejano Festival from the legacy events list.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. What you have before you today, as stated, is we're asking for direction. During the July 15th council meeting, there was consensus given to the addition of the March for Jesus event to the legacy events. And on August 19th, there was consensus to discuss the removal of the Tejano Festival from the legacy events list. Within my staff report, I did attach the special event fee waiver reduction that you guys that council had previously approved. And I just wanted to comment on a few things before we get into the discussion. First, legacy defense are very clearly defined within our municipal code. And they are, and let me find it, I completely forgot to highlight it. All right, legacy events. They are one of three things, have been held for a significant number of years while providing education to visitors regarding the historical and/or cultural heritage of the residents of City of Selma, celebrate national holidays within the residents of the City of Selma, and promote the youth of the city and/or the region at large through collaboration of local schools. Currently, these events have been identified by City Council. The Raisin Festival, the 3rd of July, the Band Festival, Christmas Parade, Sikh Parade, Portuguese Parade, Tejano Festival, and the Chamber of Commerce Annual Car Show and Barbecue. With that, I would like to request further direction for us. We will need to make any changes to the ordinances if any events are added or deleted. So we will need further direction to begin that process if any is needed. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Smart. Does council have any questions for the director tonight before we open it up to the public? No? Okay, bringing this item back to council. Again, these are two, in my opinion, disparate items. The March for Jesus event, which is amazing, and love to see this coming back as a legacy event, and the removal of the Tejano Festival, which I'm really still confused about why that's being done. But if council doesn't have any direction at this point or discussion, we'll open it up to the public for any input. Does anybody have any items they would like to contribute tonight regarding either or both of these events?
So, like I said, I think the March for Jesus does, meet the requirements or the guidelines that these, legacy programs have been chosen by. At this time, I just like to make just a plea with you guys that, we had March for Jesus for many, many years. And I think we started in 2013, if I'm not wrong. But it was something of that nature that we started. We did an uphill battle. We've had as much as 3,000 to 4,000 people that participated in the different events. We've had always successful events. We brought the community together, and as I'll put my other hat on as a Chamber of Commerce board member, we brought some, customers to our city that purchased, and they did some great things for the city too, to be able to participate in the City of Selma's growth. But what it really comes down to is that, when we do the March for Jesus, we bring families together, we bring different organizations together, and we've always brought something positive to the city. So I just want to plead with you guys that it's a positive event. It's an event that we've never had no incidents. We've never had no kind of complaints or anything like that. We always take our time to knock on doors, especially where we're going to be doing the march. We've done the march in the barrio. I think our mayor joined us in that one, and then some different ones. We've done them all over the City of Selma, and we've never had no complaints. Different areas, different locations, and we've always come across as something positive, and we've never discriminated against anybody. We've always invited everybody to come alongside and just be part of something great that's brought smiles to our community and it's brought unity to our community. And we believe that it's one of the events that brings peace to our city. As we march, we pray for our city, and you guys know our city needs prayer. So I just want you guys to consider that, and to all together, all of you guys. I don't want nobody to say no. Vote us in. All right. God bless you guys.
Arvine Sandu, 2477 Country Club Lane. I am the current president for the nonprofit organization that was formerly known as Second Chance Animal Shelter. We're now Second Chance Animal Rescue since we don't have an actual facility. Last 10 years, this nonprofit has put on the Tejano concert and, you know, raised funds for the community, for the pets of the community, and for the community in general. The last probably 3 years, we haven't been able to make a significant donation to other organizations in the city, such as the fire department in the past, the police department, Selma Arts Center, Chamber of Commerce, all of those types of organizations. But, you know, we are hoping to be able to donate a portion of our proceeds this year to the American Cancer Society, you know, as done in the past to different organizations. So I'm very baffled of why, you know, an event that has been put on for 10 years is being proposed to be removed. I think the comment was that Second Chance doesn't exist. Second Chance nonprofit organization still exists. We still will be helping, and we still are helping. We haven't stopped helping the pets throughout our community and members to our community. It's not just about helping pets, it's about helping pet owners be educated, providing them services, providing training, and also helping other organizations within our city, bringing our communities together. So I would like to know the rationale of why that happened, and if there's any clarifications or any questions that the public or the council has, you know, more than willing to go ahead and answer those. We've already made our application. We did that on July 8th, so we're on track. Our sponsors are lined up, our event is being lined up. If we get taken off the legacy list, there are significant costs that go, and that will take away from proceeds and from donations. I believe we were put on the list for a reason, so I think that I would like to hear the rationale behind why it's being proposed that our event that's been put on for a decade be removed. Thank you.
Any comments from anyone else? Anybody on the phone or online? We have someone else in the public who'd like to say something.
Rose Robertson, very nice to hear March of Jesus is coming back. Finally, we missed that. We truly need that for our community. Tejano concert. You know, the Tejano concert in the whole 10 years was put together by the citizens of Selma, and it was put together because the Arts Foundation, when Ken Gray, Steve Barron, Ernesto Perez, and Mike Durr and myself were on. And at that time, they removed the Mariachi Festival. So with the Mariachi Festival being removed, I made a proposal, let us bring in Tejano Country Concert. So again, it was successful because it was something for the community. There's been 3 to 4, 5 generations that attend this Tejano concert from citizens of Selma. It's an affordable event that they enjoy. So they come here and it's almost 1,000 citizens of Selma and they enjoy it. And maybe not the full 1,000 citizens of Selma, but there's people that come from San Francisco, Bakersfield, and all over. Not one time in the 10 years did the Tejano concert come for a waiver. So when you guys did put it on the legacy, that was nice. That was nice for something the Tejano concert can have on their back, not to have to worry about the permits being pulled and paying that fund. So with you guys now putting it on the agenda or to take it away, that's just despite to the citizens of Selma. Yes, I'm talking to you. Despite, you may not like, we may not get along, and we don't, you know, that's okay, but don't blame the citizens. Don't attack the citizens for a nice event. Don't take it away from the citizens of Selma. This is their event. They enjoy it. They like it. It's affordable. Shame on you if you take it away from the citizens of Selma. Stop blaming, stop destroying the citizens of Selma. This is their time. This is their town. Thank you.
Anybody else with a comment? Anybody online or on the phone? Travelers?
Jim Avenel, 1701 Dinuba. You know, in our community over the years, you know, and I was born in this town, guys, you know, and I didn't get very far in life, but I made some my home. In life itself, growing up, we had the band festival back in the days, great event in our community, brought people together. You know, that's what it's about in our community. City of Selma, bringing people together in the past. Even now, we need to bring them together. Other communities are doing the same thing. You know, Globus Hat Days, rodeos, Layton rodeos and all this, they bring people together. That's what we got to do in Selma, bring people together, not discourage them. You know, when I see stuff like this, you're discouraging people coming to our community to showcase our community, to say, this is some of who we are. Bring people together, know who our town's about, not chase them away. When I see stuff like this, you're chasing people away. You're not helping your town. You're hurting your town. You're not making your town grow. You know, people don't want to come here to live and say, well, I would come to Selma. They don't have nothing going on. You know, they don't have this, they don't have that. You know, back in the past, we did. You know, March for Jesus, we had all that all going on, bringing people together. That's what it's about. You know, it's not, you know, this is who we are, City of Selma. That's who I am here, live in the city. I care. I live here. You know, eventually I'm probably going to die here too as well. I see the cemetery not too far away. But in life itself, remember, guys, we're here to help our community, not hurt our community. When I see stuff like this is a detrimental, hurting people, the long run, and hurting our finances in our community, bringing tax dollars in our community, restaurants, jobs, creation, all that. You know, people, you know, investors. Hey, man, someone's got everything going. I'm going to go there. They got everything going on. If you have nothing going on, why should I go there? Well, I got to say thank you.
Anybody else? That person on the phone wanting to speak? Okay. Good there.
Yes, Michael Barone at 2003 Alton. I'll just say that March for Jesus brings the community.
Want to speak up a little bit, sir?
I'm just saying that the March for Jesus brings the community in unity. It brings also for the children, for young people. It's like, you know, they look at something positive, and Jesus is positive and does make a difference in the lives of people. And it's people get out there, march, and you know, just pray for the city, pray for our leaders, pray for the different people, and the positive part. And also even the Tejano Festival, I've never attended one, but the music, it brings people together and unifies and brings working together. So to me, it's good, and it brings.
Beverly Barone, 2003 Alton. Two good things, both at the Tejano Festival and the March for Jesus. Why would we want to do away with something that's good, something that's positive for people around us? So my thought right now is that I don't know who brought this idea of doing away with them. I honestly don't. I have no idea. But don't do away with something that's good for our city, good for everyone. It's not something to hurt anyone. It's something to bring positive. So you're talking about that legacy, whatever that, I'm not sure of that one, but and when those, I think she said 3 different items, those are what you're going by. I don't even know who brought those 3 items and why those 3 items deleted the Tejano Festival and also the March for Jesus. So maybe it needs to go back to the board and redraw up or add on, I don't know, but I really don't think that our city, I'm just going to say that our city needs to have more positive items coming to them. And so by taking it away, it's not helping us. It's only hurting us. Please consider, it's not just this city council people that are here tonight. It's all of the citizens of Selma. We need more positive here, not the negative, the positive. So don't take what is good, don't take it away. Thank you.
Anybody on the phone or online now? Speak.
Hi, can you hear me? Hello,
We can hear you.
Teresa Salas, Selma, California. I am very much in favor of adding the March for Jesus to the legacy events. As Pastor Alvarez said, it has been an event that was hosted in the city for many, many years, and having it a part of the legacy events just gives them a financial break to be able to do an event that they really don't make money from. It's basically people come together and there's no admission charged or anything or any way for them to cover any of their expenses. So putting them as a legacy event, I think would be very beneficial to the group. I don't believe that anyone has said that they wanted to eliminate the Tejano Festival. They just want to remove it from a legacy event. They are welcome to have their event if they so choose. But I think that the reasoning was that because they were doing it as a fundraiser for the animal shelter and they are no longer running the animal shelter, I think that was the reasoning behind taking them off of the list of legacy events, because somebody didn't see the need for them to have that big fundraiser any longer. I don't know what the Second Chance Foundation is doing, what their expenses are in order for them to continue that event. But again, nobody said that the event was going to be canceled. They can have their event if they'd like. It's just was suggested that it be removed from the legacy events, which gives them a financial break when it comes to the city fees. It doesn't give them a break when it comes to any of the other things that they need, only with the city fees. And again, I think that the March for Jesus would benefit from that because they're not charging anybody admission to have the march. And I think it involves all areas of the community. It involves all ages of the community, all the different churches, religions, even people who are non-religious that see the need for a divine power in our community. And I would very much support the idea of adding the March for Jesus to the legacy events. Thank you.
Anybody else on the phone who would like to speak?
Good evening, everybody. Nydia Juarez, 9829 South Thompson. I just wanted to make a comment regarding the Tejano Festival. Yes, Ms. Alice is correct. That doesn't impede us from proceeding on having this event moving forward. It would, however, help us with the fees, so we're not spending as much money on fees and rather focusing that money on nonprofits that we can help. Like Parveen mentioned before, we've donated money to the police station, the fire station, numerous organizations throughout the year. So it's not something that we do just to raise funds for the shelter or for the rescue in this case now. It's to help the community. And not only that, but we bring so much business to Selma. The people that attend these concerts stay overnight. So they're renting hotel rooms, they're having breakfast, they're having dinner, they're, putting gas in their cars. They're contributing to our economy. So just think of what that's going to do without having, the Tejano Festival moving forward. All that money is going to go somewhere else when we can actually have it in Selma. So the 3 council members that voted to have this removed, you guys are all business owners. You say that you're business savvy. Where's your business savvy now that we're taking business away from Selma? This money that could come to our community and can benefit our citizens is being taken away just because you guys are being spiteful. And let's be honest, that's all it is. Let's call it what it is. This is being done because you guys are taking it out on us because we've been voicing our concerns about the new shelter in town. So just be honest about it and say it how it is, you know. You don't have to hide behind the curtain of, oh, we're taking this away to put somebody else on. That's not it. And again, this concert benefits Selma. Not only does it bring Selma together, it's a good event for families, but it also brings revenue to the city. So that's all I have to comment on. Thank you.
Anybody else with a comment or a question?
As a reminder to the caller online, please use your raise your hand feature by pressing *9 if you would like to speak. And in order to unmute yourself, you need to press *6. Caller ending in 126, you need to press *6 to unmute your line. Perfect. Can I have your
Hello?
name, please? Hi, can I have your name?
Carl Salazar.
Thank you, Mr. Salazar. You have 3 minutes.
All right. Hi, Carl Salazar, 2220 Valley View. About March for Jesus. Yeah, why would you want to get rid of that? If you don't believe in Jesus, then that's your thing of wanting to get rid of it. Otherwise, you should march for Jesus. Now, if you don't want to show up to the event, okay, that's up to you. But why deprive the citizens of Selma that want to be involved? And it's just coming together. Now, if you think it's a religious thing and your voters won't like it, hey, if you believe in Jesus, you'll vote and let it happen and let it march. That's what it's all about. Bottom line, okay, Tejano concert. I've been involved for the 10 years. It's great. You know, everybody has a great time. Why get rid of it? It's, you know, again, why get rid of it? It does bring revenue. I don't, you know, if my business doesn't get revenue from it, no big deal. That's not what it's all about. It's what it's all about is having an event for our citizens and, yeah, people that come in up and down throughout the state. It's a great event. Okay, you want to get rid of that. Then what else are you going to get rid of? A car show? You're going to get rid of the parade? But, you know, you all know none of you who want to run for any position at anything, you won't get rid of the parade because you want to be in a car waving your hand. You know, it just don't make sense, guys. Come on. Anybody who votes against any event in Selma that's going to bring citizens together, you got a problem, and don't let it affect the citizens. So that should cover a lot. No need to go down what events, what name of the events, because I can't think of them all anyway. All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good meeting.
Anybody else? Okay, bringing the matter back to council. Is there discussion before
I
we
have
discuss
something to
this?
say. I know when I request something to be put on the agenda, my name is always on here. This was requested by Mayor Pro Tem Beverly Cho. She's the one that requested to have the Tejano taken off the legacy, which is a really sad thing because I've worked that event for 9 years, and it's a great event. It's great to the citizens of Selma that really, really enjoy it. And just like Carl Salazar stated, he's a business owner. It brings revenue to our city, and it brings people that come from all over. And I know this for a fact because I sell the tickets at my office. And there's people that come from Bakersfield. They've already started calling. They come every year. They make this event. They stay at our hotels. They eat at our restaurants. They put gas. This is a great event for the citizens of Selma. Everybody enjoys it. We've had city people that have been there. Raina has helped us out. We had Moses Stites helps us out. We've had a lot of people from the city that help us out. Police, fire, they've all helped us. It's a community event and everybody comes together. Again, why do we want to keep hurting our citizens? This is not the right thing to do. We should be coming together. This helps them not having to pay the fees. Why do we want to take that away? They're still providing a service. Just because they're not second chance animal shelter, they're second chance rescue. They still help out the community. People call them on a daily basis to rescue animals, rescue these dogs that our Selma shelter doesn't take these calls after 4 o'clock. So why hurt them? Why punish these people? Why hurt our city? You know, we're trying to do better, but this is what happens. You know, it's just spitefulness. I mean, people just are being spiteful. Why? I want to ask you, Bev, why? You've requested it. Go for it.
Okay, you're right. I did ask for this. It's kind of like what Teresa Salas says, because basically I have no problem with Chicano concert. You do bring in the people. I agree with that. It's just that thing, you know, if you guys, you know, Second Street, you know, Second Chance Animal Shelter was part of your thing. So all of a sudden you changed it to another organization. Is that where the money's going to? So before, you know, the Second Chance is, you know, not part of the city project anymore. So you're gonna earn money for another one, then it should have been on the book somewhere that we know about. That's why I was saying, why would we be having a concert on something, you know, we don't have anymore? And that was my question. And it's very simple. I don't have any animosity about the concert. I've been there a long time ago even. But, you know, so to me, it just that we need to straighten that out a little bit better, you know? That's kind of like the reason why I called it. I have no problem and I don't have any, you know, spite, you know, for the record, for the spite. I don't need to have the spike. You know, basically, this is what I call and say, this is an agency that we do not have anymore. So, you know, this concert, what does that pertain to? Who's this concert working for, you know? Who is running it is a nonprofit also or not, you know? So there's some logistics here, I think. It needs to be straightened out, so.
Okay, so what about the Walk for Jesus? So you're saying because.
Okay, so we all
Don't
have the right-
interrupt me.
we all
Don't
have-
interrupt me.
Kara
I'm
speaking,
speaking.
asking a question, then you
Let
can
him
talk.
finish.
Councilman
Walk for
Sharp.
Jesus. So what you're saying, if they're not part of the city, then they shouldn't be involved? Because that's what you're saying about Selma Rescue.
Well, I don't know about Selma Rescue. It was Selma Second Chance before. Did you guys just change entities
You
on the
guys,
concert?
are you associated with them?
I know, I'm not associated with them. Why are you
Your
asking?
representative.
So who am I supposed to be asking?
She
I
was-
mean,
Stop her being.
She spoke earlier.
Okay, so basically but who's in charge of the Kahana concert? Okay, I mean, that's
She
what
already
I'm
said.
saying. Who is in charge of that and who are they working for? That's my question.
Our name used to
She's asking her a
be
direct question.
Second Chance
Answer the
Animal
question.
Shelter. That is the organization, the nonprofit organization that the city was contracted to do services with for 10 years. That is also the same nonprofit organization that has put on the Tohono concert. Legally, our name is still Second Chance Animal Shelter. We are in the process of just removing the shelter part and adding rescue, but everything else is still the same. We are still helping animals. And money used to be given, portions of proceeds used to be given to other nonprofit organizations and other city organizations such as the fire department, the police department, Selma Art Center, and various other nonprofit organizations. We are now going to start following that practice because for the past 3 years, we were not able to donate due to rising costs. Now we're going to go back and we'll be donating portions of our proceeds to the American Cancer Society. Now, just because we're not running a shelter anymore doesn't mean that a rescue, a nonprofit organization, does not have a need for a fundraiser. We are still helping those animals that because the Selma Animal Services cannot take every single cat, dog, bat, turtle, everything out there. We're here to help, just like every other nonprofit organization.
Got it.
So
Does that answer your question, Mayor Pro Tem? Who's in charge of the event and what the proceeds will be going to fund? Did that answer your question? Okay.
Okay.
Councilmember Trujillo?
Okay, so.
Thank you. Thank
So
you, Ms.
just
Tendu.
point of clarification, because there's many avenues we're going through. I want to make a point. I support the Walk for Jesus. I support that. I'll give you my reasons why I choose to vote to take the animal shelter off of the list on this
So let him speak.
second chance animal shelter, whatever you want to call it. At this point in time, there's been numerous claims of questioning of the financial outlook of the animal shelter for the city of Selma at this point in time by Second Chance Animal Shelter / Rescue Mission. The city of Selma is in a lawsuit with the Second Chance Animal Shelter for information that has not been provided for an audit that we asked for a year ago.
Councilmember, I'm gonna stop you real quick.
What
We
is the
need to
case?
keep on the agenda as to
So-
whether
so
or
the
not,
reason the
hold on,
base-
let me, whether or not this event is a legacy event and not the workings of the
Okay.
animal shelter.
Okay, so the legacy event, I vote and would like to make a motion and include
Sir, I haven't
motion-
weighed in yet, so I'm
No,
gonna
but I,
make,
but I
I'm
still want to
gonna
make a
comment.
motion that, I would like to propose that we make a motion to
Sir, do you want to wait until all the council members? We haven't heard from Councilmember Mendoza Navarro or myself yet.
I still like to make a motion to approve
Okay.
the March for Jesus and remove the Second Chance Animal Shelter.
Got it. Is there a second? And then we'll open the discussion? Or do you want to open discussion?
Discussion first.
Okay, you can't open discussion without a second. If no one seconds it, then the motion will fail. So is there a second to Councilmember Trujillo's motion?
I'll second it.
Yeah. he has
Okay.
to tell her.
Okay, so we'll open discussion and the remaining council members can have the opportunity to make their voices heard. Councilmember Mendoza Navarro, did you have any input on this at this time? I'm asking if you have any input?
You want to go first?
No, please.
Okay. So to clarify and to set the facts straight is no one is removing any events from any, that they can't happen here in the city. That's not what we're doing today. What is being asked today is that they no longer be part of the legacy group because there are certain fees that will be no longer waived. And those fees happen to be the application fees. What they will still pay for is whatever city services that have to be paid for. However, like Councilmember Trujillo mentioned, is there are reasons that we were waiving fees, and I believe we had fees waived as long as the nonprofit was in good standing, as long as they were complying with what they needed to comply with. Those were the reasons that I'm understanding, if I remember the ordinance correctly, is that they have to be in good standing in order for them to be part of this waiver, whether it's a legacy group or whether it's part of coming back to ask for a waiver. So no one is saying that they cannot apply for any events, and I've gone to the events as well, and it's a really good event. It brings a lot of people. That's not what we're saying. What this is saying is that they're going to be removed from the legacy, which means that now they have to pay the application fees and whatever other fees are associated. But it's basically the application fees to be able to have this. So that's the only thing that's being removed, is the fact that they're now going to have to ask or pay whatever application fees that are incurred. As far as the March for Jesus, again, same thing. They're just asking for a waiver for, or to be put on the list to have waivers of the application fees. They would still have to coordinate their own traffic studies. They would still have to coordinate all of that, because that's exactly what the other legacy groups that are on here, that's the same thing that they had to do just recently. The Sikh Parade had to do their own traffic study. The Portuguese also had to pay for their own barricades and do all of that. So no one is saying that they can't have these events. If anything, we're wanting to welcome more events for our community, especially, we're having a lot of different things. These are all either run by the Selma Chamber of Commerce, by the Rotary Club, by things that are providing back to the community. I understand, again, that, with the Tejano Festival, that was sponsored by the Second Chance Animal Shelter, again, which is not currently in good standing with the city. So therefore, that would be the reasoning why it would no longer qualify under a legacy group, because it no longer is in good standing. So it's not anything that we don't want this event to happen. That's not what anyone is saying. So fact checking and just, there's a lot of misinformation out there that, we're trying to take things away from the city of Selma. We're trying to take things away from the citizens of Selma. That is not correct. I live here. I enjoy the fact that we have all of these events here. And I'm in support of every single event that we have that will bring more revenue to the city and bring more citizens and more people to the city. We have a lot of things going on in this city. And I want to welcome more of that, if, more of those events, and be able to bring that camaraderie and be able to bring and showcase our city. We have a lot of good things happening in our city. We have, improvements to our downtown. We have a lot of the Chamber of Commerce and the BID are doing a lot of the Friday night eats and all of these different things that are coming to the city, and I want to continue those. It's the fact is that all we're asking is that they no longer get waived their application fees. And then the other agents or the other organization is asking to waive those application fees. However, again, they will still have to pay for traffic studies. They will still have to pay for whatever staff time that it takes to do whatever they need to do. So that's the clarification and the facts that are before us right now. And so that's what we're going to be voting on. So that's what I have to say about that.
Here you go. This is it. This is what we're doing. Are we for our city and our citizens? Are we going to let the city take over our events? First the chamber, now the animal shelter. The Tejano concert has been a staple for the city of Selma and run by the people of Selma. They happen to be involved in the Second Chance Animal Shelter that the people started in order to help the city out, which was extinguished at the end of December. And now, in a particularly mean-spirited act, the complete opposite of the March for Jesus event, these three want to take away the legacy status, which is permit fees only. That's not the whole story. It's the idea of coming in and taking away in a really, really mean-spirited thing. This is spite, just as one of the members of the public said, this is spite from these three and the city against the Second Chance Animal Shelter and the people of Selma. You read your own terminology, council members. I mean, the legacy events are defined to demonstrate consistent benefit to the local community and meet one of the following criteria, have been held for a significant number of years. Yes, that has happened. The Mariachi Festival went away and the Tejano Festival stepped in. That's what we do as a community in Selma. Are you gonna let these people push us around longer? No, we shouldn't. We should say no. This should be a legacy event. This is an important event for us, just like the Sikh Parade, and just like the Rotary Band Festival, these are important events. And to say that you are for events that bring business, no, you're not. It's lip service, just like we've heard from council members, they were going to bring the council together and all these promises that they never delivered on. Your words say one thing, council members, you three, and your actions say another. And this is mean-spirited tonight, and this does not have to happen. I'm ashamed of you three, even doing this. These are good people who want to bring good music to the city. We kept these tickets at $15 a piece to help people of all economic backgrounds to be able to afford it. Affordable tickets. We kept it that way. The community members, we had members of the city volunteer, and by your own admission, even some of you showed up and enjoyed the Tejano. It's not saying that the event's canceled, but you're making it harder for this group to put this on. Why? There is no need for this. And the way you rush to do it is, I guess, the way you rushed to close the shelter in the first place and take over it. Well, congratulations. You're making this a city none of us want to be part of. I want to be part of a city that is run by its citizens and is run for its citizens, by the people, of the people, and for the people. Not for a select few who make rules that they don't follow themselves, and this is one of them. I'll bet you show up at the Tejano Festival this year to enjoy it. Well, I hope you really do enjoy it, and I hope you go to March for Jesus, and I hope you think about the meaning of that event too. This is an event I just can't believe this is happening. And Mayor Pro Tem Cho, we all know you were put up to this by Councilmember Trujillo, who makes your motions for you anyway, and I'm really ashamed of you too. So with that, we have a first and a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra,
No. I want to make another motion.
I don't know if you
After.
can right now.
Councilmember
She doesn't
Mendoza
say.
Navarro,
Gotta go through the vote.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Absolutely not. Okay,
I
motion
would have liked
passes.
to put March for Jesus and the Tejano back as a legacy, so you don't have to pay the fines. But let me tell you, Pastor, you're gonna have to go get those barricades and it's gonna cost you.
Okay.
And you could thank these three
Let's,
for it.
let's move on. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move back to item 2, which will be item 3 tonight, which is consideration of submitted applications for appointments to Downtown Business Improvement District Advisory Board.
Good evening, council. This item is for the council to consider an application for appointment to the Downtown Business Improvement District Board. Your council increased the board membership from 7 to 9 in January. Currently, there are 3 vacancies. We have 1 application attached to your staff report for consideration tonight. Since the January expansion of the board, it's basically been a constant recruitment for members onto the BID. But we've received a single application. So before you tonight is a single consideration of appointment for staff is recommending the appointment to the term that ends 10/31/2025, because that's approximately a year term, which is how long board members serve on the BID. So with that, staff's available for questions. Thanks.
Staff have any questions? Is Mr. Singh here in the
Yeah.
audience tonight?
Mr. Singh?
Would you like to get up and say anything, Mr. Singh?
Hi, my name is Karanjit Singh. I'm running the El Mercado Market on McCall and Rose Avenue, and also opening up a restaurant called the Curry Cantina. I worked with the business development project quite closely. There was actually a couple people on the board that had recommended me multiple times to join it, but I was just being young, I was just like, I don't want to be involved in that. But then they started walking me through the process, that it'll be good to have some fresh ideas. Growing up in high school and college, I was always involved in a bunch of academic groups, social groups, and also we're involved in our church, in our Sikh temple in Fresno. So I've always liked to be a part of something that can help grow a community. I've actually moved over from here, from Madera, and every single business that I'm planning to open, it's actually gonna be in Selma. And so I just want to be a more part of the business project so that we can keep growing eventually. And we're actually, right now, we're sponsoring the car show, the ribs that we're gonna be doing. And we want to hopefully do more events in the future too, so that way we can be a part of the community for a long time.
Thanks very much for your participation and your involvement in our economy and now with our downtown. I'm sure I speak for the council. We really appreciate your input and your involvement. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Singh?
I'll vote for you.
Do we have any questions from the public tonight for Mr. Singh? Anybody online or on the phone with any questions or comments?
As a reminder to the callers online, please use your raise your hand feature and we will add you to the meeting queue. Mayor Robertson, at this time, I see no hands raised.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll bring the matter back to council. Is there a motion to approve, Mr. Singh?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes, thank you for your service. We look forward to hearing more about your time on the BID. I'm sure you'll do great work. Thank you, sir. With that, we don't have any public hearings tonight, so we'll move on to the next item, which is future agenda items. Does council have any future agenda items they would like to propose at this time?
Yeah, I'd like to bring an update on the fire station, on our new fire station. And then also just to confirm that Mid-Valley is coming next month to give us the update. They've had 60 days.
Yes, that's correct. And just real quick on the fire station, could that be provided via department updates rather than an agenda item? Okay, thank you.
I have an agenda item. I'd like to place the 1943 Bar Street in Selma on the agenda. I know you guys want to do a presentation, but I think we've beat it up at the end of the meeting every time. And I think that every time we talk about it, everybody's gone. So I'd like to just, if you can, let's put it on the agenda and let's go back from the let's peel it back all the way from the very beginning. And let's just walk through the process that the city municipal government has to go through this process, because it's been a long process. Our city attorney has explained it. I think you've explained it. But I think that when we explain it, it's already midnight or 11 o'clock at night and nobody's here. So I'd like to bring it back on the agenda, put in the agenda, roll it back from the very beginning, when we got first contact, what we've been doing, what the city staff's been doing to resolve this issue, and what rights business and landowners have, so we can really, really educate the people how things work with the municipal government.
Just clarification, what? 1943
Barter Street.
Barter Street?
Bowder Street?
That's not the one that they're talking about. They're talking about the
Oh,
one.
Alton, I think.
Alton.
Were you referring to Alton, the one where we have the abatement
Yes.
process? Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I had two right here. Yeah.
Got it.
And is there a consensus for that item?
Well, I'd like to build on that, actually. I'd like to have a future agenda item to demo homes after 12 months. I'd like to change the ordinance to make it the public, or to make it the city's right and option to actually tear down homes after 12 months of being boarded up with no utilities connected.
Didn't we, I thought we talked about that.
We did talk about it,
We
but
said we were gonna,
it's never come back.
I know, but we said we were gonna have a discussion, have city staff come back to us, because we talked about the blighted area and they were gonna come back to us.
Got it.
I think
When?
that's something that's really important.
We need a
I think
date.
it-
I'd
I
like a
think it
date
plays-
certain on
I think
that.
it plays in the role of what citizens see, what's out and what's going on, and how how it functions in a municipal
There's
government.
one on Nebraska. I mean, they're
there's
around
multiple.
town. So city manager, can we get some time certainty
Sure.
on when this is going to be brought to the city council?
I think within the next 30 days for that particular item, I would recommend separating it from the Alton Street item because you,
That's specific, but
Right.
mine is more general
correct.
to kind of take care of the problem in
And
the
it's a
future.
potential ordinance change as well.
Right.
So I would recommend having two separate items for those.
I agree with both.
I think you should go back to the meeting because we had a really lengthy talk about that and we actually came up with some good discussion.
We did,
items.
and the city attorney said
City
it was
attorney
worth them.
had-
There are ways to do it in a way that's
Yeah.
fair to the property owner as well as the city, but I think we got to do something.
No, yeah.
We got to look at it.
And that's where she was able to give a discussion but nobody was here. So I think that it's really important that we do break them both down, give a little gist as to what the process is and how we can actually enforce these laws because there's a lot of business owners slash owners of residential that will play what we have as tools to get really down. And I think the 12 months is a good process.
And we could
I think it's-
definitely talk about it.
Yep.
And narrow it down and get something we can.
So that'll, if
Well,
there's
hosted.
consensus, that would be on the agenda for October 7th for the blighted areas and abating those. And then I think for the update for Alton Street, we can bring that back at the next meeting.
Okay.
Is there a consensus on those items?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other future agenda items from council tonight?
Yes, I'd like to do an evaluation on our attorney services and with the also potential to change the contract, the length of contract as one.
Is there consensus on that?
I don't get it.
I don't either.
We do evaluations on our employees. We have employee city manager and we also have employee city attorney. So it's an evaluation on,
Okay.
city attorney services.
And are we going to look at what the traditional city attorney gets in terms of length of contract and termination clauses as well?
It's a
which is
discussion,
really
so
standard.
it's a discussion.
Are you
so-
are you thinking about altering that?
I think the way that it
Not
can be
altering anything, I'm
agendized
just
is,
asking for a item to be placed on the agenda so that we could talk about the attorney services
We-
and an evaluation on that.
I'm sorry, I'm just asking for clarification. No need to be defensive, council
Okay.
member. Thank
Well,
you.
I thought it was pretty clear.
so if there's consensus, we can make the agenda item broad enough so that all those items could be potentially discussed, if that's okay. So just need confirmation on the consensus.
And is that a closed session item?
I was gonna say, if it's an
Yeah.
evaluation, it would be under closed session.
Okay.
Uh,
And then the other one is, I'm not sure how we could put this in closed session, but there's, a lot of potential violations of the handbook that we've seen over the last few months. And so I want to see if we can have a discussion, but it would be more of a closed session item. And I don't know if we have to be specific, but it could potentially be employee issues. So that's why I want to talk about that. Is that something that we can do?
Can you be more specific? What is it that you're?
So there's potential violations from the handbook, and a lot of it has to do with potential employee issues. And so I want to have a closed session so that we could discuss the violations of the handbook.
Of city employees?
Well, the handbook is really for us, but there's, I don't want to get into like.
That's
too
okay.
much-
My question, what I'm really asking is, are they employees that are working under the city manager? Because if they are, it would be in a city manager evaluation in which you're talking about the employees that are working under him, if that is what you're looking to do.
No, it's more of the conduct of the council, but I want to discuss it in closed session. Does that make sense?
That's no way. That's a Brown Act violation. No way. I won't go for that. No more secrets.
Offhand, I can't think of a way we could put that in closed session, but I
Can't
can
either.
look into
Because we
that.
can look in,
But I
yeah,
can
you
refer
can
to
look
the
into
DA.
that, please, thank you.
That will be referred. That's a violation, clear cut right there. And by the way, an evaluation of an independent contractor is not a closed session item either. That should be a public item too, correct? The city attorney is an independent contractor, not an employee of the city, correct?
If it's an evaluation of the contract, of the services being provided, it can be a closed session item.
How?
How?
Yeah, how?
Because we are an employee of the city and of council.
What specific information would be discussed there that couldn't be disclosed to the public on on the performance of city attorney? You work for the council who works for the people. Why wouldn't they be part of that?
It can be on open session, but it's also permitted to be a closed session item.
Okay. I would just like my input to be, it should be an open session in front of the people.
Just
Because you
to,
hire us and we hire them.
just to be clear, closed session items are very limited in what can be on there, right? And so
We agree.
anything in a closed session can always potentially be on open session, but only certain things can be in closed session. So what I'm saying is that is something that is permitted to be in closed session.
Personnel,
But also,
land deals, right? Competitive business.
but
deals.
also
Where does this fall?
to ratify decisions in closed session, they have to come back in open session to be ratified.
That is correct.
But that's ratified. That's not discussed.
Correct.
This should all see the light of day. Especially what the council member's talking about, and we all know, right? Okay. That we'll move on to departmental reports. City manager?
Real quick, going back to the last item.
Oh,
So
I
there
didn't have
was-
consensus.
There
Yeah, I
was,
didn't-
yeah, there was a request for consensus on the city attorney item. Do I have a consensus for that
No,
item? Okay.
absolutely not. No way.
So three.
Nope.
okay.
And I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
wanna know, I want a description of exactly what's gonna be in that,
Exactly.
because that's legal. That is you have to let the public know what's gonna be in that closed session item,
Okay, we don't have consensus, so we don't have to discuss.
okay?
I think we do the majority, yeah. So city attorney, I can work with you to make sure that whatever is agendized conforms with the Brown Act for that item.
Nope, there'll be
Very
other
good,
review.
thank you.
Yeah, there'll be other review, but I promise you. Okay, let's go on to departmental reports. City manager?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. One of the major things that we're working on right now is, as you might be aware, SKF is doing a master plan update for our sewer system. Staff has been very involved with that process. I think the council was copied on comments that we have on their draft master plan. They submitted a response and we will be responding to their responses. I wanted to make council aware because we are raising issues with SKF's process of master planning that could potentially affect the cost of future sewer improvements. And we're requesting as much information as we can from them with regard to flows that are coming from other communities that would affect the city's potential growth. So I wanted to make sure that the council was aware, and we will make you aware when the item is before the SKF board for approval. I am the chair of the Policy Advisory Committee for SKF, and so we will have the PAC will make a recommendation to approve or not, or recommend for approval or not recommend for approval the draft master plan. And any comments, if, let's say, we don't recommend for approval, the council will be made aware. If it is recommended for approval, we'll also make you aware of the reasons for that. Other than that, I just want to thank staff for all the hard work. I think, summer was extremely busy for all of us, and especially with, budget and vacations and things like that. I think the staff has handled it very well. And thank you to our consultants who have come out tonight, including our city engineer. It was great to have Chris come. And so we are always looking at making sure that the performance of our consultants is maximized, as you heard Chuck say earlier. But thank you for your support when we do utilize consultants, because we are utilizing them effectively. That's all I have. Thank you.
City manager, just a quick question. You mentioned about the SKF, possibly an increase. Now, when you're saying an increase, would that be to our consumers or citizens of Selma? And that will come in front of the council to make that decision, correct?
Yeah, so it works from, if you're referring to rates, SKF sets the rates. And they do that through Prop 218 process. They recently approved a rate increase that would kick in next year. The master plan would not necessarily affect the rates, except for any capital improvement projects that are being funded through the rates. What I mean for our purposes of growth is that there's opportunities to downsize certain infrastructure that, right now, the way that they have it in the master plan could cost us $2 million. We're looking very closely to see if there's any opportunity to reduce the potential cost if we downsize the pipe to maybe cost $1 million. For example, Dinuba, right? There's opportunities there to reduce the cost on the Dinuba trunk line if they have found that the flows aren't really as large as they thought they would be. So those are the kinds of things that would impact the city's finances directly. When we're talking about rates, it also impacts ratepayers because the rehab and maintenance and those kinds of things are all being paid by our
By the
ratepayers.
ratepayers,
Yeah.
right.
City Attorney,
Nothing for me. Thank you.
thank you for filling in for Megan. We wish her all the best.
Been texting her this whole time. She's up to date in real time.
Oh, gosh. Deputy City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Last Friday, I attended, a surf meeting, where they were talking about this, Sierra San Joaquin, Jobs Initiative. They just put out their draft, implementation plan that kind of outlines economic development support throughout the 4-county, area that the initiative serves. And just wanted to update council that that funding opportunity covers a variety of initiatives: clean energy, manufacturing, broadband, small business and micro enterprise development, community-based health workforce, and as well as it also provides opportunity for some potential developer incentives. So the amount of funding that's been identified through the implementation of that plan is 5.9 or $59.4 billion through 2045 that they anticipate investing in economic development activities throughout the Central Valley 4-county region. So we're reviewing the draft plan. Alicia, our economic development manager, sits on one of the committees as the local government rep, so we are heavily involved in development of these type of plans, activities, and as well as serving on these local economic development, growth and development. So.
Thank you. Administrative Services.
Nothing to report.
All right. Okay. Community Services Director, Amy Smart.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Of course, I have a few things to update. First and foremost, our senior center is open for business. The seniors were very, very excited to get back in there. We are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 12. If anybody would like to come by and have lunch, please give us a call. We'll put your name on the list. They've already had several events. I saw them in there today doing Zumba. They love to have the dances and all the activities. So I'm very excited for that. Huge thank you to everyone who played a role in that, especially the Public Works team. Those last 2 weeks before we opened up, it was a hustle to get things going. So I definitely appreciate the hard work there. The second part is the Salazar Center is opening this week. Boys and Girls Club are currently moving their stuff in and should be open in the coming days. So very excited about that. I know Ruby and the team cannot wait to open up there as well. I'm also very excited because we will be roommates with them in that center. So be on the lookout in the future. We'll be hosting some City of Selma community service events out of that facility. So we're really excited to maximize the potential and get some things going out there. I'm very excited about that. We also recently held a pickleball clinic. If you guys have not played pickleball, let us know. We'd love to take you out there and have a great time. And on the Art Center side, Evil Dead is currently running. I think this coming up weekend is the last weekend. We have had nearly every show has been sold out. So it's been a fantastic run and we're really proud of the hard work that's going on there. And then last but not least, we would like to invite everybody out to Starry Nights on September 20th at 6 p.m. over at Brettlinger Park. We'll be partnering with the Fresno Astronomy Club or Astronomers Club and providing an exciting night of astronomy and all kinds of learning and fun for the kids and activities. So really to go in line with the theme of the park. Again, like I've spoken about numerous times. You guys have all heard my spiel. We wanted that park to be more than just a place where kids could play. We wanted it to be a place where kids could learn and explore and get immersed in the STEM world. So I think it's an awesome opportunity for us. So we hope to see you guys there.
Question for you from a citizen. What is happening with the Selma sign at Pioneer Village?
We have identified that within the master plan, so hopefully I will have some updates in the coming months, but as of right now, it has been identified and it is part of that master plan program.
Updates to be restored. Thank you.
Restored, all of the options are on the table for that, absolutely.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, Fire Chief Webster.
Good evening. Just give you a brief update as to the status of the fire station. We intend on wrapping up contract negotiations this week, and we're hoping to see that on the agenda for the 16th, so
October or
of
September?
this month, yeah,
Oh,
the
perfect.
following council meeting. End of report.
Fire Chief. City Clerk, Public Information Officer.
Mayor, council members, I have a few construction updates that have caused some street closures and some detours. So first, the Amberwood Sewer Trunk Line, the Pacific Avenue is closed to northbound traffic between Nebraska and Saginaw, and that is until September 18th. Southbound traffic remains open. The second one is the Valley View Storm Drain Basin. McCall Avenue is currently restricted to local residents only due to ongoing work. Apparently there's been some concerns, but the project will continue to move forward. That is
Thanks
all.
for your update. Public Works Director.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. The only item I have to update tonight is on Brentlinger Park. We are currently waiting for the gates to deliver for the wrought iron fence along Rose Avenue. Those should deliver by the end of the week. We will be looking to install those next week, and that project will be completed. End of report.
Question for you, Public Works Director. I had a citizen contact me regarding the graffiti on the wall behind Cypress Street. And they've been told that it's your problem and, you know, we're only gonna come out there if you don't take care of it. Where are we on the status of that? Have they taken care of it, the residents?
So code enforcement is on that one, and I know they spoke to the resident. I was out there last week, took pictures of the alley, and it's not just one resident. There are 4 residents there who have cinder block wall that has been graffitied. According to our current ordinance, that is the responsibility of the homeowner. They can come and discuss with us if they can't afford material. And we have partnered with Home Depot and Nelson's Hardware, as I have previously reported, for them to be able to procure material through Public Works, getting that paint. I'm also currently working on an update that was asked by Councilmember Trujillo that I will be bringing to council to update them on the program, which you, Mr. Mayor, had talked about, possibly an account with $2,500 or so that citizens could come and actually borrow the money and use that money to purchase the materials that they need. And I am working on that report. That will be coming, I believe, the next council meeting,
Great.
16th.
Thank you. I'll let the residents know.
Sir.
Right. Police Commander Garza.
Good evening, Mayor. I have nothing to report.
Sir, with that will move on to council reports. Councilmember Mendoza Navarro.
I just want to clarify, did admin services go? Yeah, okay, shit, nothing. Okay, I missed it. Sorry.
Did you, I'm sorry. You want me to go back and ask her again? Admin services, did you have anything?
Good.
But still nothing to report.
We're good. All right. We'll move on. Councilmember Mendoza Navarro.
So I attended the senior center grand reopening. That was really nice. It was really nice to see all of the seniors really happy to be able to get back in there. I had a few of them kind of say it's about time, and I just had to reiterate to them that we were trying to make it structurally safe so that they wouldn't have to worry about it coming, you know, collapsing or anything. So it took a while. I attended as part of my job. It's the inaugural State Affordable Housing event. The Fresno Housing Authority actually put something together, and there was different bankers, and City of Fresno was there, council members. I actually had the opportunity to talk to Councilmember Arias and President Perea. Specifically, actually, we talked about the homeless ordinance and, you know, where they're at and kind of get their background on that. And so that was an interesting conversation, and I'll be going back to get some more updates from them, just because, again, you know, I know we're working on ours, so I just wanted to get some background on that. Also, I had coffee and donuts with the seniors over at the Selma Mobile Park, and that was really nice on Thursday. Had great conversations with Homer, the maintenance, and also the finance person that's there, Barbara. So we were able to talk out some issues and some questions that they had, and so I was able to clarify some things with them. Let me see. On another personal note, I just celebrated 25 years in the public sector on the 1st. And so it's been a really, I never imagined myself in housing as a career. But, when I first started in housing, I had no idea what the Housing Authority was and what they did. But we do a lot in both in Fresno and in Madera. So it's been a really interesting career. So I'm really excited for the next, I don't know, few years whenever I'm ready to retire. And then I also participated in the ID meeting. I'm part of the ad hoc committee for the logo. And so that's going to be coming back for council's approval. And then just if I sent out an invite for the San Joaquin Valley Housing Summit, and that's going to be for Thursday. I don't know if you're able to attend, but I did send out an invite for that. And so that's it for me.
Councilmember Trujillo?
I also attended the senior, grand opening. That was great. You guys did a great job. Everybody did a great job. Aside of that, staff, you guys did a great job, like always. And aside of that, nothing else. Thank you.
Councilmember Guerra?
Okay, I just want to say the same thing, Amy. Kudos to you and to the rest of the staff that helped you get that senior center open and running. I mean, the seniors were so excited, and I mean, it was just to see their faces and their smiles. It was amazing, and how thankful, and they were just so excited to get back in there. You guys did a phenomenal job, and thank you for letting us do the first dance with them. That was just so awesome. Really loved it. Also, I just got a few complaints, which, they always call me. I've had 3 complaints from citizens saying that the code enforcer went out and gave them notice about their trailers being on the side of their house, on their property. And they're saying they've had it like that for 8 years, 10 years, 20 years. And now they're getting cited. And they're saying that why? They keep up their grass, it's on their property. They maintain their yard, everything looks nice. And they were very upset. And they were saying that why all of a sudden now code enforcement is harassing them? They said, we've been on the list for the trailer place over here where they can go and park their trailers. They've said they've been on that list for 5 years and they haven't received a call. And they call every year, is there any spaces? And they tell them no. They tell them no, the same thing. So where do you want them to take these trailers to? That's what they asked code enforcement, and they told them, I don't know, it's your problem. Why would we talk like that to our citizens? Number one, I don't get it. I don't know why we should be talking to our citizens that way. They pay property taxes, they maintain their homes, they work hard for what they have. I've been complaining for 2 months about Second Street, that the weeds are about 7 feet now on that entrance going northbound, on that property that should have been probably already condemned. I'm not sure. And those weeds are still there. So why are we harassing our citizens when when are you guys going to take care of this problem?
Councilmember Garrett, can I ask what lot on Second Street you're referring to, please? And I apologize if I missed that in a previous meeting, but the weeds, if they're on city property, we will absolutely take care of them.
Yeah.
If they're on private property, then that is an abatement issue with the
Yeah.
landowner. And I appreciate the eye contact, but I don't run code enforcement, so
And Councilmember
I
Guerra?
mean, I
Yeah.
love looking at you when you're talking to me, but like all these questions,
Well, I kind of looked at him too.
Right,
Because
yeah.
I get it.
we
It's-
work with code enforcement
Yeah.
hand in hand, but yeah, that is out of my wheelhouse.
Councilmember Guerra, with regard to the code enforcement issue, regarding the trailer, I can follow up with that, I don't want to ask too many questions right now, but if you can give me the contact information
Yeah.
for that resident. The weed issue on Second Street, I drove by the other day, there's a red notice on it, so it has been tagged. There's, again, as has been previously discussed, there's due process and there's a process we have to go through before the city can actually, if they're not complying with the weed abatement, we can go on there and remove the weeds ourselves, but there's timelines, there's noticing, there's all those kinds of things, but it is in the works, because I've noticed it and code enforcement is on it. But I will follow up with that particular resident. I don't know if you recall, but about 3 years ago, maybe, the council approved a ordinance update to the RV trailer, policy in the city, and it does require parking an RV on a paved area on the side of the house, behind a fence. So I don't know if that's the case here, but we can look further into that. I know, our code enforcement officers take the ordinance very literally, as they should. And so if there's anything, any leeway that can be had within the ordinance, that would be something that the council would have to make a decision on.
So that is something that we can bring back to council,
Absolutely.
the ordinance, and just
If
modify
that's
it.
the issue here in this case,
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet, yeah.
That's it for me.
Mayor Pro Tem Cho.
Yes, I did attend the senior center opening and seniors are very, very happy to be back on it. Also, our Thanksgiving meal has been moved to Portuguese Hall this year because I think the senior center's oven's not working so well. So I don't think they want frozen turkey dinners this year. So we're gonna go to Portuguese Hall and hopefully somebody be working on their ovens, okay, for sure. And thank you, staff, for all the work you do. Also, I was just gonna make a comment. I missed it on the check register. I do sign checks also, and every check I sign also always have a document behind it. So it's not like we just sign checks and goes out the door. So that's what I'm saying. Thank you.
I attended the grand opening of the Maiden Voyage, and they're doing great business. It's great to see them downtown. I attended the SKF board meeting, and also at that board meeting, I'm a board member, by the way, I'm the vice chair. And at that meeting, Precision Engineering was retained as a contract engineer. So Ed Dunkel was there, he's the head of that company, and they are going to be making operations at SKF more efficient because now they'll have a district engineer that's, yes, an independent contractor, but someone who will be able to do some of that work and will be able to relieve that workload. So, and I will be following up, of course, with the other board members on the issue that the city manager discussed and the back and forth between the city and the SKF. We watching that very, very closely to see how it affects our city in SKF as a district. I presented the Member of the Month award to the Boys and Girls Club. While they're still out at the Weed and Seed, they're going to be moving out to the Salazar Center. This is great, great news. I want to say thank you to Director Smart for her leadership on that, and to Ruby Torres for her invitation to attend that great ceremony out there. I attended a Fresno County Planning Commission meeting where the CUP for the new Selma Cemetery was turned down by the Planning Commission by a vote of 8-0. Rose and I rescued a mama dog and her 3 puppies. And the lady who was here, Parveen Sandhu, had some medicine for them. So she still does provide services, and she was there, right there. And of course, I got those 3 animals to rescue right away from my contacts with the animal rescue world to a no-kill rescue. I want to say thank you to everybody who came out tonight, sat through the whole meeting, everybody who's watching. Really appreciate it. Appreciate your input. Appreciate all the input of the staff and the efforts of the staff. And I look forward to seeing everybody again in a couple of weeks. Good night, everybody.